got next is fine with us. Line up. I said, it's fine with us. Come on, line them up. Fine with us. Go and line them up. Yeah, it's fine with us. Say whoever got next is fine with us.
From Sydney, Australia, this is the Race of Champions. Tonight, we witness the 33rd running of this great event. We are in a wonderful metropolitan city, and after traveling all over the world, tonight we're racing in the Southern Hemisphere for the very first time. Sydney has given us the warmest of welcomes, and in a few moments, we'll see the cars on this magnificent track. It's taken them 8 days to build at the Accor Stadium, but now it's ready. The circuit runs to 1 kilometre. They'll go side by side. It is a racetrack like no other, and for the first time in years, we're back in a stadium ready for a unique event. The expectant crowd are watching on. It all begins with the Nations Cup, and with so much action to enjoy, some of the very best names in all of motorsport. Australia then is ready for an incredible motorsport spectacle. The event in Sydney is marking a big comeback. It's the first time since Riyadh in 2018. The track is in a stadium again. The last 2 events, they took place in Sweden's snow and ice events. It's now back to the classic asphalt on ROK's iconic parallel tracks for the whole field. All fans can look forward to these 2 racing formats, the ROK Nations Cup on Friday and the Race of Champions on Saturday. Before the lights go green, let's take a look at the Nations Cup. It was added to the Race of Champions in 1999 to decide the world's fastest nation. It was the first motorsport event to feature teams based on individual countries and has continued ever since. Historically, Team Germany have been the best with 8 wins. This year, 4-time world champion Sebastian Vettel and Mick Schumacher are once again among the favourites. There are 10 national teams, each comprising 2 drivers. With the reigning champs Norway seeded, the rest are divided into 3 groups of 3 teams. They race until the best 2 in each group advance to the quarter-finals. From here, it's a straight knockout. After 2 battles, if the score is tied at 1-1, a 3rd race decides who moves on to the next round. The semi-finals to make it to the grand final showdown. Then the ROK Nations Cup will be decided by the best of 3 heats. The first duo with 2 wins will be crowned the fastest nation in the world. 2 drivers with a target on their back are the father and son duo Petter and Oliver Solberg. The Norwegians have won the title for their country at the last 2 events in Sweden, but that was on snow and ice. Tonight, we're on the asphalt, and the teams have been introduced to the crowd. We have Team New Zealand. You're looking at Team GB featuring 13-time Grand Prix winner David Coulthard and Alistair McRae, who will be behind the wheel. Sébastien Loeb is a 4-time ROK champion. He's next to young French starlet Victor Martins for Team France. Chaz Mostert and Johan Kristoffersen, they're going to be a team to watch. There are all-stars tonight. And we mentioned them a few moments ago. We'll say their names again. Oliver and Petter Solberg have been dominant on snow and ice. Can they continue their run on tarmac? Heikki Kovalainen is next to one of the favourites around here. That's Valtteri Bottas. And Sebastian Vettel has won the team's title on his own. He's won with Michael Schumacher. Tonight he tries to win that Nations Cup with Mick Schumacher, son of the 7-time world champion. And we've got Travis Pastrana and Kurt Busch as well. Huge cheer for Team Australia Supercars with Brody Kosecki alongside the reigning champion, Will Brown. The photos have been taken. The pomp is complete, and we are ready to go racing. What fantastic pictures in a fantastic city. This is going to be a special occasion. I'm Alex Jakes. Alongside me, with a wide smile on his face, it's great to be alongside Neil Cole. This is going to be special.
I've got goosebumps all over my body. It's fantastic to be in Sydney, and we are about to get the first race underway with no more ceremony.
So here we go. Heikki Kovalainen is a Formula One Grand Prix winner. He's also got recent rally experience. Johan Kristoffersson is an absolute titan when it comes to rallycross. 7 World Championship titles to his name. The talk is ending. The racing is about to begin. We go green. We attack down to turn number 1. Great launch off the line for Heikki Kovalainen, who has been rallying in Japan. But let's have a look at this circuit for the first time. Half a kilometre one way, half a kilometre the other, and they are attacking in these pocket rocket cars. These are so quick, these FC2s.
Yeah, they're the up cycle of the supercar lights. They're the latest spec of rallycross car internationally, and they are the ones with the popping and banging of turbos that will echo around the Accor Arena.
Wonderful atmosphere already, and a great opening stint for Heikki Kovalainen, the driver who made his name bursting onto the scene when he beat Michael Schumacher back in 2004. That was in the Stade de France. We've got another Olympic Stadium tonight, and it's going to be very, very close between Kristoffersson, who's had a fantastic end. Look at this for an opening contest. Heikki Kovalainen to the line. Heikki Kovalainen taking the opening win of the night.
And that is a shock right off the bat. You know, Johan Kristoffersson is almost untouchable in a rallycross car. So for Heikki to do that is something special. But he's got previous in the super specials that they do in Japan for rallies. He's constantly winning in this kind of format. So, you know, he's got previous.
He is just mighty in everything he sits in. But as you say, Neil, that is a shot to open things up. A real surprise. The former Formula One Grand Prix winner. That was back in 2008 at the Hungarian Grand Prix, 0.2 of a second quicker. And we're off and running for what is going to be exciting action all the way through. Big, though, big result there for Finland, striking one nice and early. They go one up as they try to make their way through into the next round. So it's the top 2 and the best third-place finisher who advance. Chaz Mostert is next. He's a 2-time Bathurst 1000 winner. He's next to one of the most popular drivers out there. They're in Subarus and they're ready to attack the racetrack once again. Rear-wheel drive for these cars. Mostert versus 10-time Grand Prix winner Valtteri Bottas as we head into the first time. Great reaction time for Mostert.
Now, you'll notice these cars are quieter than all the rest. These are the stealth car in the pack because these Subaru BRZ TSs are road cars. So you could, with a few extra tweaks, these have got half a roll cage and a few sort of tweaks to make them race cars. These are basically, you can take them away and drive them on the streets after the event.
That's how we're getting back to the hotel. Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Well, there's a great opening stint. That is going so nicely for Mostert. He is having a time of his life out there in the first 500 meters of this event. But it tightens up in the lane that he's now in. Can 10-time Grand Prix winner Valtteri Bottas use the faster corners that he has ahead of him to try and claw back the time? It looked like Mostert had got the job done in the first route. And I think he's going to see it off unless Bottas can have a mighty final corner. He had too much time to make up. Across the line he comes. And it's Chaz Mostert who scores, you have to say, another shot. Two in a row.
Now, bearing in mind that we do send our best regards to Mattias Ekström, who would have been in that car with Johan Kristoffersson representing Team Sweden, but he's not well enough to compete, so we send him our regards. But people must have thought, you know, Mattias Ekström, former Race of Champions, champion of champions, if he's not here, we've all got a chance. But Chaz has just smashed the doors wide open with that surprise win.
You're absolutely right, Neil. This has been a thrilling start to things, having to be slightly more cautious the great thing about having 6 different cars is you have to show consistency. We wondered how much Valtteri would risk it around that final corner. A feather touch of the Tech Pro on the exit of the final corner.
And on the subject of touching, there are sort of various rules about just a touching or a kiss like that. You know, the stewards aren't going to punish you at all. But if you have a hefty clump against the barriers and move the barriers, then there's a system you'll get a warning, and then there can be a 5-second penalty if you do it twice. That's the basic rules. Other than that, it's just gun it and go.
And the chicane that we have on the top of the bridge, there was lots of chatter about that in the driver's briefing. Yeah. They didn't let me in, they let you in.
So it got quite tasty in the driver's briefing, because basically the bridge, the chicane, we'll talk about that in a moment. Let's just get to how the draw is panning out at the moment.
We're going to come back to thrilling bridge news in a moment. I want to show you the full bracket then for the competition. Norway, they are seeded because they won last time out. That's winner's privilege. We're going to take the top 2 from each group. We're going to advance them, and then the best 3rd place, they will advance as well. So that is our bracket for the Nations Cup.
See, it's simple.
Yeah, easy. Easy as you like. And there are various tiebreakers if we need them later on. We'll explain them to you when we get to that stage of proceedings. So just very quickly to clear up the bridge chicane.
Yeah, back to exciting bridge news. There's a chicane on the bridge, so some cars will still get a little bit of air, but there is a new rule, I think, where if you touch the chicane, one of the barriers, and move it, there's an instant 2-second penalty, because you can gain a speed advantage from brushing the barriers on the chicane. But hopefully none of that will happen. These drivers are very well behaved.
Yeah, so I hear. So I hear. Practice might have told a different story. Another box office lineup for you now. One of the very best that we've ever seen in rally. On the left-hand side, Heikki Kovalainen, who will be so pleased with his start to the event. Sebastian Loeb versus Heikki Kovalainen, Team France versus Team Finland. And immediately Kovalainen, all of that rallying experience that he's had in Japan recently, paying off. He's had such an interesting career, the Finnish driver, Lewis Hamilton's former teammate. But here's the man who's got 4 ROC victories under his belt, and he is gliding around this circuit. Sebastian Loeb at ease right now.
There's so much about this that gives me throwbacks to Paris in 2004. These two did battle together. It was home turf for Sebastian Loeb, but Heikki Kovalainen sort of beat him, and that then put it, you know, that kind of launched his motorsport career. He was in Formula One, you know, within years of that moment.
Yeah, it was a special occasion. Coming around the final corner, and across the line we go. Was it really in any doubt? That work was done very early by Sebastian Loeb, and he takes the victory to get France up and running in the competition. Kovalainen had a better second part of the lap, but he returns. But it's Loeb who's won that by just under a second.
Yeah, so a pretty sizable win there for Sebastian Loeb. And the great thing is that he's got his Dacia Sand Riders fireproofs on. The dust from Abu Dhabi and the Dakar has probably hardly been washed out of them yet. But the history of, you know, not only a 9-time World Rally champion, but he did a lot of touring cars. He's done Le Mans very successfully, and, you know, more recently, endurance rally raids. And he still hasn't quite bagged the Dakar win that he wants, but, you know, he's still going for it. But he can still turn his hand to tarmac when he needs to.
Yeah, he certainly can. Looking at the final moments of Sebastian Loeb scoring the early win that he wanted. And this is a fascinating matchup between a proven Formula One driver and a driver desperate to get there. It's Valtteri Bottas getting huge support in basically his adopted country, and Victor Martins. Both of these drivers, third-tier champions once upon a time. Formula 3 for Victor Martins and GP3 for Valtteri Bottas. We go green, we go racing, we go down to turn number 1. And it's a better reaction time this time around for Bottas, who seems to be getting to grips with the Subaru he's got underneath him. Victor Martins getting his first run out of the day. Bottas, of course, has already had a sighter and seems to have the early advantage. the 10-time Grand Prix winner, as we make our way through. But it's not a big divide as we come over into the second leg, as we move into the second part of the lap.
I think this one's going to be close. It's because of the slight overlap of the outside and the inside, or lane A and lane B, as I learnt in the driver's briefing. I think this is going to come very, very close when they get the pyrotechnics at the finish line.
Well, let's see. Victor Martins looks like he's had a really strong, speedy section, and he's really pushed on. Could this be another shock on our hands? It will be another shock. Victor Martins to the line first. He beats Valtteri Bottas. And France have a second win to their name. Job done for them. And Valtteri Bottas finds himself a second back, just not getting on with that Subaru out of the gate.
Nope, and that's two rookies with a win each. It's very impressive. Mostert and Martins, our two rookies, both managed to upset the apple cart a little bit.
Certainly did. It was a better first leg for Valtteri Bottas. But as Neil says, one leg, lane A, lane B, one slightly longer, one slightly shorter. Not a huge amount of difference in it.
Look how close he was.
20 meters. And again, I love that they're daring themselves to the wall around that final corner. Checkered flag waves for Victor Martins, who gets France's second victory of the evening. A team that look like they mean business.
Yeah, 2 W's in that column for Team France means they're ominous for everybody else. But I love that, the way that the body language of the car as it comes around that last corner on the outside. You're just trying to get as much speed out of that last corner, which means going as close to the barrier as possible.
Heikki Kovalainen got us up and running with a win for Finland. And then Mostert continued the shocks. He has All-Stars in second because they've done fewer races than Team Finland. France, 2 from 2. And you can see the fastest lap time there as well. So France getting off to a flyer. Sébastien Loeb, Victor Martins, very, very comfortable on the circuit. That took just over a week to lay down. First time any motorsport has ever been run around this venue, which has hosted the Olympics. It's hosted a certain Rugby World Cup win. Johnny Wilkinson dropping for glory just
over there,
a few meters away. Fantastic. And plenty of rugby league.
I thought we weren't supposed to mention that.
Yeah, I've mentioned it fairly early in the broadcast.
The Women's World Cup as well. And I think the Rabbitohs play here as their home, and the Bulldogs play here. So it's a great stadium. But yeah, first time it's seen race cars.
Wonderful event out there. Okay, ready to line up. Johan Kristoffersen, 7-time World Rallycross champion, up against Sébastien Loeb. Neil, sign me up. This one's tasty.
And they both, of course, did battle many times in World Rallycross as well, so they've got previous.
So this is going to be high-quality stuff. Kristoffersen versus Loeb. The revs rise, and we go racing again. Very good reaction time for the Swedish driver in the black car. He is trying to make his way through that chicane, but if you make contact with 2-second penalty, it effectively means, given how tight the races have been tonight, effectively means defeat. So you've got to leave a little bit of space, you've got to find a little bit of caution as we come round. Kristoffersen with his eye in, and he continues on. Remember, the outer lane is just under 20 meters longer than the inner lane, just for your reference. So Loeb will have the chance to come back. And how much are they prepared to risk into the left-hander? Final corners now, right on the limit of adhesion. This is where they seem to meet in the middle, but it's fast around the final corner. Who's going to be bravest? Who's going to push it to the wall? It's Loeb at a finish. Wonderful contest between those two greats. And it's Sébastien Loeb who has his passenger applauding. No wonder you got to watch that live. To get to watch a master at work. Loeb with his second win of the night.
Yeah, imagine being that passenger watching the left foot braking close up, the hands expertly soaring at the wheel, and Sébastien Loeb managing to beat Johan Kristoffersen in the kind of machinery that Johan's much more used to than Seb is these days. These 550 brake horsepower FC2 Rallycross cars, all-wheel drive. So you'll notice, especially this shot here, as they come round the corners, they work much better if they're sideways, because if all four wheels are pointing where the car eventually wants to go, that's the quickest way out of a corner.
Right, we're looking at two drivers now who have already won tonight. There's a bit of a conversation going on there. Victor Martins in conversation. And he's up against Chaz Mostert, two-time Bathurst 1000 winner. The endurance event that they run around that fantastic racetrack. And who's going to get their second win of the night then?
It's an all-rookie matchup.
It is indeed. And pretty even off the line. Victor Martins maybe slightly ahead as we see these two about to go to work. Victor Martins, a Formula 3 champion, will be competing this year once again in Formula 2. He's no longer with the Alpine setup, so he's looking to prove himself without a link to a Formula 1 drivers program. And he will see what is possible. Chaz Mostert, part of that Team All-Stars, looking to bounce back after Kristoffersen's defeat a few moments ago.
Yeah, crucial now for Chaz. Much more used to longer races than a minute at a time. But I'm very impressed with how the drivers are managing to avoid the chicane on the bridge. As soon as you offer them the chance of losing 2 seconds, they're suddenly much more careful.
Suddenly the precision, which we know they are so capable of, appears. This one's going to be tight, but this one is going to be a second win of the night for Victor Martins, who defeats Chaz Mostert and puts France in a commanding position. He celebrates again. 2 wins for him, and he is playing his part in Team France, looking absolutely dominant so far.
Yeah, France looking really strong, aren't they? They're absolutely looking like they're going to make a fast track all the way to the final. But don't forget, we've got a lot more nations and different cars to come before we get to the final. But yes, Victor is certainly proving his position in the Rock Nations Cup.
So far we've had victory for Finland with Kovalainen. We had Mostert getting one for the Team All-Stars. Then Loeb started France's winning streak. Martins continued it. Loeb as well. And then Victor Martins finishing it off. 4 from 4 for France.
Wow.
It's been a rip-roaring start for them. And then All-Stars, they have 4 races and the 1 win. And Finland are in 3rd. They got the opening win of the evening, but after that they have not been able to add to their tally. Hey, let's have a look at Group B. Always good to say Group B. We've got the Australian supercar team. Brody Kosecki and Will Brown will be racing. New Zealand, Hayden Paddon, all those successful rally years for him. And Louis Sharp, an up-and-coming racer representing his nation. He's in Formula 3 this year. Will be racing in Melbourne in a week's time. And then Australia off-road. They have been having a lot of fun so far this week. Molly Taylor and Toby Price. And they are ready to head on to the circuit. It's KTM time and the Crossbow heading to the line, Neil.
Yeah, I think these are now the longest standing vehicles of choice in Race of Champions. Of course, open cockpit, open wheel, rear wheel drive, very powerful car and quite tricky to get around this track, but very rewarding when you do.
Well, the 2024 Supercars champion and a dominant champion he was as well. Will Brown about to have his first race of the evening up against Hayden Paddon, who is looking to try and score a win for Team New Zealand. Paddon is the 2023 and 2024 European Rally champion. He is a 7-time New Zealand Rally champion. The starters have moved from the line. So many passengers alongside getting an incredible experience, and we're about to enjoy the first race in Group B as we go green and we go down at turn number 1 as we see the battle continue now. So are we going to see? It's great to see the maneuverability of this KTM, a totally different car. Bit of a lock up there. They do say the track is grippy. It does tempt the drivers into trying to push a little bit too hard. When you come down, take the left-hander from the bridge. At the line, it's been a good opening stint at the wheel and really racking it through there. Fantastic angle of the KTM.
Yeah, the key thing about these cars is they've got all that heritage of Dallara, Audi, as well as the motorbike racing heritage of KTM. Was that a mistake?
I think it was. The crowd, ooh,
yeah.
I think says it all.
Gives it away.
And it was a clash into the barrier, which would have removed the opportunity anyway, but across the line we go. And excellent stuff. And Brown had that one under control all the way through. And Will Brown, the Supercars champion of 2024, had that one under control all the way around, and he takes victory for Team Australia Supercars.
There's been a lot of fighting talk this week because, of course, the biggest rivalry here in Sydney is the Australia-New Zealand rivalry. So I think Hayden Paddon will be disappointed, let's say, that he couldn't hand one to the Aussies on home soil.
Yeah, always enjoying the battle. And yeah, it was Paddon who was striking the wall to bring an ooh from the crowds. Do you hear an ooh? There might be a moment off screen that we have. We're going to have another change of car. This is the Toyota GR86. It's got 245 brake horsepower. For many of you out there, it will be a familiar sight, as it is a support category for the Supercars champion. Louis Sharp, we've mentioned his prowess, and we've mentioned his journey. He will be racing up against the man who won the Supercars title in 2023. Brodie Kostecki is about to go to work. And once again, the contest begins with the green light as we have Team New Zealand up against Team Australia Supercars once again. Can Brodie, who has claimed both the Supercars Championship and the Bathurst 1000, find his way to an opening win of the night? They were drinking in the crowd's acclaim earlier on, and let's see how they match up at the start. I think it's been a very, very encouraging opening stint. They're fairly even as they go across the line. Remember, the inside lane is slightly shorter, so do not count a winner yet. Still to play for as we head in to the final corners.
It's a very young matchup, this. Louis Sharp, youngest, he's a teenager, only 17 years old. So he is doing his best to hold his own in a field that is full of current champions and veterans.
And across the line we go. And it is the crowd in fine voice. A brilliant, brilliant victory. And the second part of the lap really told there. So Team Australia Supercars taking the win. Brodie Kostecki taking the victory. And Louis Sharp having to settle for second place as we look at the highlights of Kostecki's victory, and really, really strong run from him.
It's lovely to watch these cars. They're sort of built in the same factories as the Subarus, but these are the race versions of that car, which is why they're a bit louder in the stadium. And of course, the GR of 86 stands for Gazoo Racing, which has so much heritage, current success in rallying and endurance racing.
So plenty of action still to come our way, and we're just sending the cars out onto the circuit. There we go. KTM's reappearing.
First chance to see Molly Taylor in action. She is an absolute weapon behind the wheel.
Hello. Hi, guys.
Here we go. Molly Taylor, an Extreme E champion, an Australian Rally champion, and Will Brown, who has already got up and running in this group with victory a few moments ago. So he's had a run in the KTM. They all get even practice time in the build-up to this event. And once again, we go racing. This is now Team Australia Off-Road up against those from Team Australia Supercars. So a little bit of a civil battle, but who is going to make use of the KTM. As you can see how much more they have to hack away at the wheel.
Yeah. They're a brilliant, they want to go much faster, basically, these cars, so they're a handful.
And nothing in it at this stage, but remember, track B, the inside line is slightly shorter.
Bit of an overcorrection there.
And it sounded very, very intense as they get the power down.
Molly with a Scandinavian flick, by the looks of it, not whether she intended it or not is another matter.
So coming around the final corner, and it will be dominant again. Will Brown having the time of his life behind the wheel of the KTM, and another victory. That is superb stuff from the Team Australia Supercars driver, and they've been superb on home soil. They've looked very assured indeed.
It's almost like they, this tarmac was laid, especially, it's Australian asphalt. They know what it feels like. And so what is great about this group is that there are so many people that are new to Race of Champions that are doing it for the first time. And it's not just because we're in Australia. Wherever we are in the future, we will see these drivers again, no doubt, over the years.
Absolutely. And there you see a moment that was causing the gap that we saw at the end for Molly Brown. And has a run in that car now, so has the knowledge of it as we go back to the Toyotas.
I'm keen to see what Toby Price can do. I've watched him so many times on the Dakar on his bike. This year he competed in a car, but he is absolutely fearless out in the wilderness of the deserts.
Brodie versus Toby. Kostecki versus Price, the Supercars champion of 2023. And yeah, winning Dakar on a bike, you have to be on another level. Game on! And we're heading to turn number one once again. So Team Australia Supercars versus Team Australia Off-Road. And Brodie Kostecki up against Toby Price that we were speaking about a few moments ago. This machinery is going to be Toby Price's liking, or whether it is going to be another sterling performance. There's a bit of a gap as we reach the first timing beam.
Does look like his advantage, Kostecki, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The supercar guys are definitely stamping their authority on their preferred surface.
And they are indeed. A longer course to go at this stage of the lap for Toby Price. And across the line we go. This one never in doubt, waving to the crowd across the line. Brodie Kostecki continuing the supercar party. Wow. Another win for them, and he's won by just under 2 seconds. And they are having a terrific time on home soil, on home tarmac. And I think they were confident coming in, but it's been a rip-roaring success so far.
Yeah, they're dominating this group, aren't they? And kudos to Kostecki as well, because he came in at short notice. Jamie Whincup, our thoughts go out to anyone affected by the incoming cyclone, but Jamie Whincup could not compete because of the cyclone potential. So he's done very well to get up to speed very quickly and use every centimetre of that track.
Absolutely right, and I echo your thoughts on the Cyclone Alfred battering parts of Australia. And we know that you're watching all over Australia and all over the world for this one. And at the moment, so far, long way to go in the competition. A reminder for you, the top 2 teams automatically go through, and the best third place team advance into the quarterfinals that are already populated with our winners from last year, which are Norway. Okay, Australian Supercars doing their best France impression.
Yeah.
4 races, 4 wins.
La dominance.
And then New Zealand yet to get on the board. Same applies to Australia Off-Road, who have just come up against 2 drivers very much in form as a result.
So now the heat is on for which one of the other two Australia teams will go through, or the New Zealand team, because at least two from this group will go through. So they're still battling now to try and make it through to the next round. This excites me, this matchup, because it's an all-rally matchup. These guys will have done competition on the same stages over the decades, I'm sure. Molly Taylor and Hayden Paddon.
Yeah, lining up side by side. Looking forward to this. Here's more details of their success in the past. Hayden Paddon and Molly Taylor both making their bow in the competition, but as you saw from the CVs on that graphic, hugely experienced on the rally stage. And now it's Paddon versus Taylor. Team New Zealand up against Team Australia off-road. This one's really important. If someone's going to get a win on the board, and who's it going to be? Vital for that second place finish after the Supercars boys have just been superb so far. Let's see where we get. Remember, around a 20-meter difference between the inside line and the outside line. So take that into account as we cut the beam.
It's been great to see Hayden Paddon. Like, he's the first non-European to win the European Rally Championship last year, and he's really sort of had a long career, but it's kind of in his heyday right now, I think.
Bit of a lock up there for Paddon. Paddon in the white car. It's been a very, very strong second part of the lap from Molly Taylor. She'll make it close, but it won't be close enough. It's Paddon across the line, and it's Paddon with the win.
I really thought as they came around that last corner that Cully was going to be able to launch it because of the parabola. I was going to say, parabola is not the right word, but the way that you can get power on the slightly wider corner. I thought she was going to slingshot out, but not quite.
Had too much to do after the first lane as we get these fantastic slow-mos of what is a dramatic moment over the bridge. We had a very dramatic moment with KTM in practice, which is why we've got the chicane.
Exactly, so these are probably the ones that require the chicane on the bridge more than any of the others, because if it lands too heavily on the down ramp from launching off the kicker, then they're the ones that will do the most damage.
Yeah, great open wheel car though, and really enjoy seeing that used.
Love them.
Crucial win then for Team New Zealand. Gets them up and running in this Group B contest. So pulling up the line now and watching on, four-time world champion Sebastian Vettel. We're going to see him out, and his first race is against Travis Pastrana, so really looking forward to that. They're in supercar lights as well. But right now, it's Toby Price versus Louis Sharp. A Dakar Rally winner against a star of the future. British Formula 4 champion, GB3 champion last year. He's been on the radar of many. He's heading into Formula 3 in a week's time with the Rodin team.
So this is the chance for Toby Price to keep the off-road team in the game, really.
Absolutely vital that Price finds form now. Not in maybe his favoured machinery. Hugely versatile racer. Price is going to give it absolutely everything. Looking at these Toyota GR86 machines that have been running all week long. Price is ahead at the halfway stage. Louis Sharp in the all-white Toyota needs a comeback lap here.
He really does. He needs to push for the second half of the lap. If he can take advantage of just going downhill, which is very unusual for his style of racing. Yes. Whereas Toby Price is used to all manner of dunes, mountains, hills, surface changes.
Oh, it's going to be close.
This is close.
It's very close between Price and Sharp. Closest race so far. Photo finish stuff. The crowd loving that. And that was super, super tight to the line. I want to see a replay.
Yeah, I do. I think that might be a photo finish. I can't count to tens of thousands of a second, and I think that's what that is.
Yeah, it absolutely would be. That was very, very tight. across the line, and we'll wait to see what the official... It's an Olympic stadium, we've got the phenomenon, we wait to see...
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
There we are, it makes sense.
You know, if you do the 100 metres in world record time here, 25 years ago, then we can work it out. What I love, though, is you've got the very different body language of the cars, matches the way that they...
Toby Price took it on the line by 2/100ths of a second. And I'm relieved it wasn't an obvious winner, otherwise we'd have both had to go get our eyes tested. Look at that. Mighty stuff, and the drivers loved it in the car change area as well. They weren't sure, we weren't sure. It was Price who kept his team on the board and scored his first win of the tournament. Teammate says, well done.
Yeah, but when you meet these drivers and Toby has a very different kind of vibe, different kind of body language, and it translates to on the track as well.
It certainly does. So, Australia Supercars having a party. New Zealand in second with 1 win. And then Australia off-road getting that vital victory at the end. All the action continuing, and we've got Terry Grant showing us some fantastic scenes, keeping everyone entertained in between races. And he's been at this for years. A lot of fun out there. Terry Grant's got so many Guinness World Records, and I've got a handy printout of those world records. It comes in very useful, including the highest loop-the-loop in the car. He absolutely loves it. He was judging the E-Rock competition earlier on as well, but he has been keeping us entertained 4 years. And yeah, so standout performances so far, Neil, from Team France, standout performances so far from Team Australia Supercars. Both have hit the ground running.
Yeah, it's very, very difficult and unusual for sort of to get 4 wins in a group. So though France and Australia Supercars are looking extremely strong. And considering that 3 out of those 4 drivers themselves are new to Race of Champions, that in itself is impressive.
Okay, let's check in once again. Rosanna is speaking to Molly Taylor.
Molly, it looked like you were having the time of your life out there. What was it like?
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. The atmosphere when you drive out is just unlike anything else I've ever done. Had a pretty messy first run, so kicking myself about that, but had a good second run, and yeah, good fight with Hayden, and he just got me, so I'll yeah, go back and do a bit of homework.
I loved watching all the action as well, and then ran off to give your teammate Toby Price a sort of high five. That was a vital win for you guys.
Yeah, that final line and Toby just bringing it, like, that was unreal, and yeah, it's so cool to team up with someone like that, someone who I look up to so much. And yeah, we're coming from left of field. This is completely out of our wheelhouse, but we just want to be in here and have a crack and have a good time doing it too.
I was going to say, this is so different to what you guys are used to. Toby's used to Dakar, you're used to Extreme E and Rally. Racing on the tarmac, how hard is that for you guys to switch to?
Yeah, this black stuff is a bit different. It's a lot cleaner, so that's probably a nice bit. But yeah, just you know, trying to feel where that threshold is, and I think just jumping into so many different cars. You know, I've done now like 4 laps around here in that KTM, so you know, you're learning every time you go out. So yeah, it's an incredible opportunity as a driver to have the race come to Australia, and just for me to be part of it, and yeah, take as much as I can and go as hard as I can and have a good time.
What an experience. Thanks, Molly.
Thanks, guys.
Not to discount, of course, that Molly Taylor herself has several Dakars under her belt in the side-by-side category, so she and Toby will be able to share notes if they ever, you know, did a endurance Race of Champions across the dunes, and her Extreme E championship proves her place in the Race of Champions, having a great time. She's an incredibly talented rally driver.
Won the Extreme E title in 2021 for Nico Rosberg's team. Okay, this is how it's looking then. We have Norway, they were seeded, they're up against the all-star team, and it will be France versus New Zealand, Australia Supercar, and who comes second in Group C. The winner of Group C will come up against the best third place team, and we could have to delve into our tie-break scenarios
At the moment,
so far.
but at the moment, best third place is looking like Australia off-road, so Molly and Toby may be back.
Group C contains some big hitters. Sebastian Vettel and Mick Schumacher go for Germany. Team USA is Travis Pastrana and Kurt Busch, former NASCAR champion. And Team GB, 13-time Grand Prix winner David Coulthard and Alistair McRae are flying the Union flag tonight. Plenty of talent in this group. Some great matchups once again. Neil, we will begin with Vettel versus Pastrana.
And over the years of Race of Champions, this is a matchup we've seen many times. Pastrana versus Vettel. They are great friends off the track, but once they put the helmet on, these two really want to beat each other. Flamboyant is Travis, less so Sebastian, but they both have styles that belie any of that.
Sebastian Vettel absolutely loves the Race of Champions. He's been part of so many successful days in the Race of Champions. Four-time world champion, and he took the individual honours back in 2015. Travis Pastrana, if it is entertaining, he's usually fairly nearby. Vettel versus Pastrana. Here we go, Group C, Heat 1. Racing down to turn number 1. And the four-time world champion will be desperate to try and get Team Germany's campaign up and running. They're looking for title number 9 by the end of the evening. Schumacher and Vettel competing. Bit of a correction for Sebastian Vettel as he made his way to avoid the Tech Pro on the inside of the corner, but it's a good opening stint of the race.
In terms of Rock Nations Cup history, these are two drivers who have both competed on their own for their nation. For reasons of other drivers' injury or of not being available. They have both done this on their own in the past, so at least they'll be pleased they do have a teammate this year.
Always a bonus. They're in the supercar, light entries, nudge of the barrier. Oh, very nearly into the wall for Pastrana! Our first major moment of the event of the night, and Pastrana keeps it going. Sebastian Vettel takes the checkered flag. Vettel takes the win. Pastrana comes home, and that has moved the Tech Pro. So Vettel celebrating, but key moment there because he clipped the barrier seconds before, which would have earned him a penalty.
Yeah, when we get to that moment on the replay, you can see that in these supercar lights, which are rallycross cars, this should suit Travis's driving style, but look, there's the kink there on the final straight before the final corner, and he hadn't quite got enough turn on, a little bit of oversteer before he tried to get in to that kink. And finding reverse in front of a crowd like this, the pressure just to get that car across the finish line for Travis, he'll be kicking himself.
Yeah, there was an opportunity there. There was an opportunity in the end. Sebastian Vettel taking the win.
We just saw Oliver and Petter Solberg there. Now, of course, they will be sitting watching because they're already seeded through to the quarterfinals. So they haven't yet, they've been getting cold like cold tires, just watching all the opposition do their races.
Earlier on, we did see them get a couple more runs in practice to make up for the fact that they're seeded. So they're not going into the quarterfinal cold. Here's our next matchup in Group C. Kurt Busch, a NASCAR Cup champion. Mick Schumacher, champion of Formula 3, the last year of the European title, and then champion of Formula 2 on a memorable day in Bahrain. And I think we're having another memorable day in Sydney. Schumacher versus Busch, and we are now moving to the buggies, to the Polaris Razor Pro R, and these take some getting used to, but we'll see who is able to manipulate the car around the turns. Mick Schumacher was enjoying life in one of these earlier on today in practice.
So these cars have got massive suspension gears, so you'll see the car swaying backwards and forwards. They're also automatic transmission, so basically you just gun it to 8,500 revs, and it does it all for you. They're an amazing piece of kit.
And this is an amazing camera angle to see how much these tyres are working. Tyres made these quite quickly. You see basically parking up, desperately trying to apply the power. What sort of lap has it been? How brave is Schumacher going to be around the final corner? It's not going to be enough. Across the line, the NASCAR Cup champion is the winner. Kurt Busch gets America up and running. Team USA taking the win.
Yeah, just over half a second ahead. What the nice story there is that Kurt Busch was called up by Travis Pastrana to bring him out of his recent retirement to compete here this weekend. So he's done his teammate a solid there by getting one win in the bank to keep Team USA and the Star Spangled Banner's hopes in this. He did knock that inside barrier flying. That's basically there to try and stop them ditch hooking around the corner. But I think one touch is a warning. So I think Mick will have got away with that.
Yeah, one touch warning, a second touch and a penalty. And there's not long after the...
yeah, they have to slam on the brakes.
Yeah, after the finish line, before you have to haul on the anchors, because you have to turn back left underneath the grandstand and back to our assembled paddock.
And that's not to be underestimated, because they are absolutely gunning it to try and get across the finish line first, and then the brakes immediately, or else you're going to miss the exit.
Well, this is some matchup. Looking forward to this. David Coulthard up against Sebastian Vettel. Two race winners in Formula One. Vettel, a four-time champion. DC with a long career, over 60 podiums as well in Formula One. For David Coulthard with Williams, with McLaren and with Red Bull. And with a better start off the line, DC getting the better reaction. And that is worth every meter you can gain around a kilometre-long circuit is going to pay you back. DC is a two-time Race of Champions winner.
And that launch in one of these Rallycross supercar lights, oh, there was a clip of the barrier there as well for Sebastian Vettel, so there's not going all his way. That launch is a very specific set of things you can do to get the best launch, and I think DC mastered it on this occasion better than Sebastian.
So Vettel cannot afford another touch with the barrier. If he makes any contact in the remaining 500 meters of this race, he would get a 5-second time penalty and would lose by default. Has Vettel had a better second run? Looks like he's moved the car, rotated the car better in this final part, and the four-time world champion is going to get the win here. Vettel takes the checkered flag and wins for Team Germany, as DC and Team GB come home a second and a half behind, as Vettel's rearranging the furniture out there, but he's taking the win.
And it just goes to show that start, you know, was quickly eaten up by what Sebastian could do around the rest of the track.
DC got the better launch, and then certainly on the second run, this is Vettel moving his way through the chicane on the bridge. Really throwing his hands on the wheel. A little bit of margin compared to others making their way through there. And this was at the final corner. Little bit of opposite lock, dancing his way to victory.
Lovely to see it. How close to go to the wall? There's plenty of room.
He's leaning on that tyre.
He knew he would have got a penalty if he'd brushed that wall.
Could have all fallen apart at the end, but it was victory for him. So Vettel takes the win. That's his second of the night. Mick Schumacher now up against Team Great Britain's Alistair McRae, British Rally champion in the past. Here is Mick Schumacher on the left-hand side, Alistair McRae on the right.
Alistair will be a very familiar figure to lots of Australian rally fans. He did a lot of rallying over in Australia and New Zealand in his career, so he's got quite a fan base over here.
Underway and racing once again down to the first turn. Continuing to run in the Polaris. So this buggy, wonderful drone shot to show you the descent down. So easy to overcook it into the left-hander after the bridge. And Mick Schumacher has had a run in this car. He's seen his teammate Look very, very strong so far. A couple of years in Formula One for Mick Schumacher, and that is a sizable advantage at this stage.
He's really got to grips with this, the Pro R. We had the Polaris in Sweden, but this is the bigger, everything's bigger diffs. Everything about this is bigger than the one we had, apart from the wheels. These wheels are 10 inches smaller than the wheels they normally put on this Polaris Pro R. So they're having to cope with just how fast these things go because of the smaller wheels.
It looks like it's going to be Mick Schumacher's race. If he can keep it clean round the final corner, he can. And victory for Mick Schumacher. He beats McRae to the line, and another win for Team Germany. And once again, we're seeing one outfit have a great run out there.
It'll be a relief, I think, to Mick that he got a win because he was beaten by Kurt a few races ago. So he'll be relieved that he's able to take a win for his team. And you can see 2 thumbs up from Sebastian Vettel to approve that result.
Yeah, understandably so. They're good friends. You definitely get the feeling that having been mentored by Michael, Sebastian feels a degree of responsibility mentoring Mick. They have a lovely relationship, those two, and they've been inseparable all week long. A win for Mick Schumacher then, and he took victory over Alistair McRae. And so far in Group C, we've had Vettel taking the win over Pastrana, we've had Busch taking the win over Schumacher, we've had Vettel beating Coulthard, and we've had Schumacher beating McRae. It means that 4 races, 3 wins for Germany. Team USA have the 2 races and the 1 victory, and Team GB looking for a result. Thumbs up from David Coulthard, looking for a win, looking for something to keep them going in the competition. Travis Pastrana, loving the music. How about this? Superb. Travis Pastrana, ready 9 times he's competed in the Race of Champions. David Coulthard loves this event. And this is his 50th participation. Group C, Heat 5, Pastrana versus Coulthard. Here's go! And this time it's Pastrana with a much better launch off the line. And he is hustling. He is hustling that supercar lights all the way round the temporary chicane, but looking to try and get another win for Team USA after Busch did the business earlier on over Mick Schumacher. Let's see how things look as we make our way to the line. And it's Pastrana with a sizable advantage at this stage. What can Coulthard do in the remainder of the lap?
Yeah, I think David, DC has to go hard or go home, really, because at this rate, this could be a last gasp attempt for Team GB with 1 more race for Alistair still to come. Oh, that was a barrier clip. Tech Pro went flying for Pastrana.
Has it allowed David Coulthard back into competition, or will Pastrana hang on? He does so to take the victory, and Team USA get a 2nd win of the evening. Only 0.4 of a second across the line as we look at the highlights of another win for Team USA, and it nearly came undone for Pastrana in the final stages.
Yeah, well, at least he didn't sort of have to find reverse this time, but he certainly clipped a Tech Pro and knew he then had to keep his nose clean and not make any more errors. There we go. The instinct is to ditch hook.
Yeah.
Especially if you're from a rallying and rallycross background like Travis is. Whereas if you're DC, it's clean and tidy. You know what the curves are there for.
Having a look on the left-hand side to see where David Coulthard was, and the answer was 0.4 of a second behind. As we look at this.
What a view. Doesn't look real, but it is.
As you say. It really does look like Scala trick stuff, doesn't it? Out there on the circuit. And now we're back to the buggies.
Incredibly, after the performance of Germany so far, with a win, Kurt Busch could actually see Team USA win this group.
Very, very good point. It's Alistair McRae up against Kurt Busch. 1 participation from McRae before. And Busch with a win earlier on tonight. Circuit officials have cleared the way. Drivers are staring at a red sign, at a green sign, and we go racing once more into the first turn. Will it be another victory for Team USA, or will we find a win for Team GB, ensuring that there's at least one win on the board as we come to the end then of Group C, Heat 6 in this intriguing group where we've seen the first real contact with the barrier, not just the Vettel flicking away at the apex, and it's McRae with an advantage at this stage.
So Kurt Busch had a better start, so it's only at the end of this lap we'll see if that really counted for anything, because it does look like Alistair did make up a bit of ground in that first half lap.
We'll see whether things change. Remember, lane A and lane B. Lane A, 473 meters, lane B, 457. So let's see how it all adds up. Is there going to be an opportunity? No, there isn't for Team GB. It's Team USA once again. And it's celebration once again. Busch with another win. Busch advancing the USA through into the next round.
DC doing his best to hide his disappointment there.
DC, who had an explosive start to the weekend in practice.
Yeah. In fact, it was one of these cars that he rolled yesterday. He said it was the first roll of his career.
It was the first roll, and there's a clip of the barrier for Alistair McRae.
Well, if I refer you back to the driver's briefing, that should have given him a 2-second penalty anyway, so he was never going to win.
Clobbered it out of the way in the Polaris. Making the press conference very entertaining yesterday. DC's been serenading the crowd with the proclaimers before we got going. But Team GB unable to get a win on the board. And here's how it finished then, with Team Germany with 4 races, 3 wins. Team USA, 4 races, 3 wins. And unfortunately for Team GB, not an opportunity to punch the air with delight, having taken the checkered flag. Okay, well, it's been a more even group, that last one. So Team GB didn't get on the board, but we saw a bit more of a competition between 2 teams in that one, with Team USA and Team Germany. And let's go downstairs once more to hear for one of the drivers who's advancing. Travis Pastrana is speaking to Rosanna Taylor.
Let's keep going. I want another shot of Vettel.
Travis, I love your fighting talk. That was close out there.
Oh, it's absolutely awesome. Dude, Coulthard was on fire. He had the fastest time in the lights over practice, and I drew him. I was like, oh, man, he's definitely, there's so much fun, so much camaraderie. But Vettel and I, he had 2 wins before this, and I had 2 wins before this. So this was the tiebreaker. I want another shot at Vettel, so hopefully we'll keep moving on.
You are so pumped up, and Kurt Busch, your teammate, doing so well as well. You were cheering him on in that final one.
Kurt is an unbelievable human being. He came out of retirement for this race to represent the U.S. I told Frederick, I'm like, there's very few people that I truly believe we have a shot to win with, and you know, I get a little excited sometimes out there. I almost started on the start, overdrove, but Kurt's calm, cool, collected. Team France, there's some teams that are definitely stronger than the U.S., but rather be lucky than good any day, and we're still in.
Oh, absolutely. So you've been looking at everybody else, watching their progress. So it's going to be intense, these next few, the quarterfinals.
Yeah, I think for most of the drivers, this is a lot of fun, and it is for us as well. But definitely for Kurt, like he hasn't been driving for 2 years. Comes out, you know, after he had an injury, and he's like, I want to go there to win. We're taking it seriously. We've got all the data, we've got all the information. We just got to learn how to drive, and we'll figure it out.
Well, good luck with that one, Travis.
Thank you.
Great to hear from Travis Pastrana. Fully motivated. Team USA back and racing and advancing
I love if you have been watching any of the pre-content to Race of Champions, you'll notice that up until this morning or yesterday, Travis was sporting an incredible moustache, like a really impressive one. But the word is, and this is quite sweet, his mum told him that he shouldn't represent his country with a moustache like that. So he dutifully, like any good boy should, listened to his mum and shaved it off. And maybe he's gained a few tenths of aerodynamics because he's not got a face full of fur.
Some arguments are not worth having. And yeah, that's all part of the fun. He was filming some content on the bridge earlier on as well, and just a great part of Race of Champions history. If you are just switching on, just pressing play, great to have your company. We've got the good and the great racing here in Sydney. Let's hear from another one of our competitors down in the changing area.
Toby, what was it like out there? This isn't your usual environment, is it?
No, not at all. It's quite crazy out there for us. So I'm used to wide open deserts, so seeing all these barriers and everything, I don't know what's going on. But yeah, the first one against Kostecki, I knew I had my hands full there. He'd had a lot of experience in the 86. But yeah, the last race was sharp. I won it by a whisker, but I'll take it. So it's, yeah, crazy. I think they were just saying we've advanced through. So off-road's going all right at the moment. Me and Molly have held the off-road side pretty high. So yeah, we're having an absolute blast. So it's, yeah, to get through another round, we're excited.
Congratulations, they're just revealing it on the board behind you now.
Yeah, hopefully Team Norway don't, spike our drinks tonight. So yeah, it'll be good, but yeah.
Welcome back to Sydney. It's the Race of Champions. It's Nation Cup night, and let's take you through where we are at this stage of the competition. Norway against the All-Stars is our first quarter-final. Then we have France versus New Zealand. Team Australia Supercars will take on Team USA, and then it is Germany versus Australia off-road. That is a very tasty quarter-final lineup. Plenty to enjoy there as we say goodbye to the Finns and the Brits, and we continue the competition. So very, very early on, we saw France looking comfortable. We saw the Australian Supercar boys looking comfortable, and now we are building up. And okay, let's take you through. This is a couple of years ago, and this is the reason why Team Norway didn't have to compete in the group stages.
The father and son team of Petter and Oliver Solberg absolutely smashed the Rock Nations Cup both times that we raced in the Arctic Circle of Sweden. And now they have to go up against the All-Stars, which includes certainly one of Petter Solberg's former teammates and rivals, Johan Kristoffersen.
That was then. This is now. We move from snow and ice to a lovely evening here in Sydney, and the tarmac glistening under the floodlights. That will be the task ahead. Petter and Oliver Solberg. Petter Solberg, the 2003 World Rally Champion. And then a few years later, he managed to add a couple of Rallycross World titles to his CV as well. A superb driver, so many fans all over the world, and he's looking to try and notch up another win. They went back-to-back on the ice and the snow. Can they show the sort of form of France, of the supercar Aussies out there? Can they compete? So the All-Stars are the team ahead of them earlier on.
The interesting thing about Petter is that he's won with Tom Kristensen as a teammate for Nordic in 2014, but so has Johan Kristoffersen. He won for Nordic with Tom Kristensen in 2019, so neither of them have Le Mans legend Tom Kristensen with them this weekend.
Yes.
But both of them have done it, and Petter's done it without Ollie in his team. So not only is Norway the reigning champions, but Petter's done it before too.
And as a general rule of thumb, things are harder to win when you don't have Tom Kristensen in your team. This is going to be really, really entertaining. Love the matchups that we've got in the quarterfinals. Yeah. You're absolutely right to nod along.
It's a Scandinavian head-to-head.
Here we go then. Quarter-final stage, up and running. Orange car of Petter Solberg up against Johan Kristoffersson in the black car. We're in the supercar light, and we are ready to take the bridge for the first time in the competition for Petter Solberg. They're trying to do the three-peat, Team Norway. Trying to make it 3 in a row when it comes to the Nations Cup. This has been a very, very good opening lap of the day for Petter Solberg. Now he'll switch lanes, second part of the lap upcoming. Good stint to open things up. And now he's got to go the long way round, so any advantage that you would have seen at the line, that might be about to evaporate. Can Kristoffersson put the pressure on as we head into the crucial final corners? There goes the Tech Pro. You're allowed one. Another hit. Oh, it's going to be close. He's going to have to get out of the power, and that will open the door. It will open the door, and it's victory for Kristoffersson. Solberg was going so well, but clobbering the Tech Pro interrupted his momentum. He knew he couldn't take another hit of the Tech Pro without getting a penalty, had to back out of it, and the All-Stars go one up.
For a while, it looked like Petter had this one in the bag, but yes, there is something sort of quite robotic about just how good Johan Kristoffersson is. I mean, historically, he is a machine, and he's so closely monitors his attention to detail, which is hard to imagine when his speciality is rallycross and Extreme E, but he really does know every single centimetre of this track. And of course, you know, he can converse with the team behind the supercar lights and the FC2s in Swedish, which helps as well.
Never a bad thing. Never a bad thing. The supercar lights.
Look at that, such a great shot of that drift.
Having to get out of it, and that's the moment that ensured the victory. There you go, there's the clobbering of the Tech Pro elements, and then that drift, losing him the chance for a much closer finish. And one up for the All-Stars then. It's best of 3. Norway do not want to be a couple of races and done in this competition, having received the bye to get through. And we're taking you through the machine that we are about to see on the circuit, the Toyota GR86. They call it high performance, it absolutely is. You can see the brake horsepower there.
It's got a boxer engine. Comes from the same DNA as the Subaru that we also see here at Race of Champions.
Very similar cars. This car competing all around Australia as part of the support series for the Supercars Championship. And in racing spec as well, they'd be sounding great. Chas Mostert against Oliver Solberg. This is must win for Team Norway. Green light illuminates Core Stadium. And are we going to see the All-Stars take an unassailable lead, or can Norway strike back? Love it when we get to the stage of the knockout tournament on Nations Cup night, always providing so much entertainment. We're going to get a read when we get to the arch in a few moments' time, but it looks like it's been a very, very good opening lap for the All-Stars, and that, across the line, is exactly what we see. There's an advantage. If it stays like this, it's going to be very tight to the line.
But as you say, this is knockout now, so Ollie knows. It was a little bit wide going up into the bridge. He didn't touch anything, which is good, but Oliver knows this. He has to win this to keep Norway in the competition.
It did seem like a massive hesitation on the bridge. I don't know whether it'll be that much. Inside line is looking good, and now Solberg knows he's got to go all in. I don't think it's going to be enough. I think the hesitation on the bridge will cost him. It will. Across the line, Chas Mostert knocks out Norway, and the All-Stars are heading on to the semi-final.
Wow. So a week ago, Chas didn't know he was going to be doing it, and now he's already qualified for the semi-final. Very impressive.
And they've checked race control. So there we go, the All-Stars taking both races, and Norway had the bye from the group stages, and then we say goodbye to them after just 2 events. The Solbergs reign as the team champions is over. They will not make it 3 in a row for the Nations Cup. We're in for a new winner for the first time in a couple of years tonight.
Yeah. Unknown territory, really.
And it will be fascinating to see who we get. Petter Solberg and Oliver Solberg for the last 2 events. That wonderful drone shot of a fantastic circuit that's seeing plenty of action tonight. We're having a great night in Sydney, wherever in the world you're watching this. It's the Race of Champions. This is the Nations Cup. We have our contest to crown the champion of champions tomorrow night. But let's hear from Petter Solberg now, down in the car changing area.
Petter, I know you were targeting that hat-trick in the Nations Cup. How are you guys feeling after that one?
It's not looking good now, you know. I bogged on the start line and I missed another corner, and yeah, and Oliver unfortunately now also lost his, you know, so not the best, but it's tough. It's tough competition.
It's a tough one. You've raced in many Race of Champions. How tricky is this particular track to get right?
No, the thing is we didn't do the first, you know, we didn't drive because we were direct qualified to the quarter, you know. I think you need to drive more all the time, you know, to get these details, and but that's how the life is, you know.
And that's not just an excuse, is it, Petter?
We have a big book of excuses.
And you were a proud dad watching on as Oliver had his go. He's going to be your rival come the Champion of Champions discussion.
Tomorrow is a new day, you know, and well, let's see. We did the best we could now, and we just have to look forward to tomorrow.
Absolutely. Well done. Entertaining everybody out there for us.
Exactly. Thank you.
So the lovely thing about the Solbergs is they have a deep history here with Australia. Petter, of course, won Rally Australia back in the days when it was in WA. But this is the first time Oliver's been to Australia since he was 1 year old. And I even think that Petter and Pernilla got engaged in Australia. So it's somewhere that has a real kind of family history for the Solberg family. But tonight, that history has already been written.
Yeah, unfortunately, we won't see them back on the circuit again. But lovely detail on what this place means to the Solbergs, but not having their run out there. And you have to admire Petter, 1, getting the excuse book out, and then 2, admitting that that's what he was doing.
Yeah, we didn't get enough track time. Sir.
You got to say something, haven't you? It's not gone their way, but they've had plenty of success in the past. All right, let's hear from a driver who's progressing. Is Chaz Mostert with Rosanna.
Chaz, congratulations. You're not even meant to be part of this Race of Champions, and look at you go, just knocking out the reigning champions.
I'm probably super lucky that I actually got in 2 cars that I'm reasonably comfortable with, you know, the 86 and the Subaru. So I'd be really, really worried going up against those guys in the 4-wheel-drive rallycross cars, because what they're doing around this track is just spectacular. So super happy. I'm not letting my all-star teammate down, and at least we didn't get knocked out in the first round, and I think, have we made another round now? I'm not too sure how all this works. Like I said, I'm a late ring-in, but absolutely have an awesome time, and all the guys and girls here are unreal, so it's a lot of fun.
I just saw you heading off to have a chat with your teammate Johan Kristoffersen. We're going to go and have a little debrief, look at the data.
Us Aussies can sometimes be a little bit soft, but there's air conditioning inside. It's pretty hot in under here, but yeah, while I'm on the camera, I just want to say hi to Ree and Everly back home up in Queensland with the cyclone at the moment, so can't wait to get home after this event.
Well, good luck with the rest of the competition.
Yeah, we'll keep going. Fingers crossed.
Chaz Mostert speaking to the Supercar boys yesterday, our friends from Channel 10, who are the other side of the comp box, and they said he was popular. I think you saw why in that interview. Nations Cup night continues, and we're going to have a new holder of the trophy. The All-Stars have knocked out Norway, and next up it's France versus New Zealand. Still to come, Australia Supercars versus Team USA, and it's Germany versus Australia off-road. Next up, Loeb versus Padden. That is going to be a fascinating contest between Loeb and Padden on the circuit. They're going to be using the Subarus. It's the BRZ TS high performance vehicle, and you can see the peak performance there, 228 brake horsepower.
For car nerds, the B stands for Boxer, the R stands for rear-wheel drive, and the Z is for Zenith. Like it's the best. It's the best, basically, Zenith.
I didn't know that. I know it now. I'm glad I do. Neil Cole next to Alan Shakes on this fantastic night, the first time that the Race of Champions has raced in the Southern Hemisphere and Australia. The former Olympic Stadium, the Accor Stadium, is our host for the evening. And we move on then to the second of the quarterfinals. Loeb versus Padden in the Subarus. Oh, it looked like Padden might be creeping a touch there out of the window. We'll worry about that later on. Would be a penalty if he was moving before the signal. Either way, we're on board with 9-time World Rally champion Sébastien Loeb, who's attacking the left-hander. That's such a good corner on the racetrack because you're carrying so much speed over the bridge. Loeb trying to continue what he's done so many times in the Race of Champions and just keep notching up those wins.
And Sébastien Loeb's another person who's got a lot of history of rallying here in Australia back in the days. And I can remember, you know, early in Hayden's career when he was further back in the field, but he would have done stages alongside Sébastien Loeb, and here they are, side by side in the Accor Stadium in Sydney. It's stuff that dreams are made of.
It really is, and Loeb has the tighter inside line, further distance to go for Padden, looking good for Loeb, but we're not out of the final corner yet. Now we are. Now it's another victory for Sébastien Loeb, and he is racking up the wins tonight. He's got one on the board for Team France, who are one win away. And he always looked in control of that one from the get-go.
His 2004, when the Rock Nations Cup was in the Stade de France in Paris, obviously at the time that wasn't an Olympic stadium, but then it, you know, very recently became one. He won the Rock Nations Cup alongside Jean Alesi. And before that, Gilles Panizzi, Ivan Muller had won it in 2000 in Gran Canaria.
So the history is there. Can they add to it? I have to say, Loeb has been just inch perfect so far tonight. Very, very impressive. Like we'd expect anything else on any surface from Sébastien Loeb.
He's an incredible competitor. Whatever you put him, whatever wheel you put him behind, he's génial, as they say in French. But he just wants to win, and he's pretty good at that consistently over the years.
Absolutely right. Okay, the FC2 is next. It is a real pocket rocket. Look at that. 0 to 100 kph in 2 seconds. Peak power of 500 brake horsepower. Super short wheelbase as well. These have been brilliant to watch all the way around the kilometre this week. Louis Sharp now up against Victor Martins, and the former Formula 3 champion up against the man who'll be making his Formula 3 debut in a few days' time.
Getting to grips with the launch control of these rallycross beasts.
Got to get it right for the perfect launch. Martins versus Sharp. Off the line we go. Pretty even from both of them. I have to say, who's going to be brave to get the rear end out? Who's going to make use of that 500 brake horsepower? Let's see earlier on.
There was a touch on over the bridge by Sharp.
That would be crucial if that was the case. Chicane has been the talk of the driver's briefing earlier today. Oh, he turned in early. Sharp had to turn out of it again, open the steering again, and I think, goes Victor Martins. Into the first turn, he's overcooked it. Can't strike it again, but that is a serious wall strike. So this has been a scrappy one for both of them.
Yeah. It's our youngest competitors as well, up against each other, and they're both maybe showing a little bit of stage fright, I don't know.
Across the line, Victor Martins takes it. He took a huge bite out of the barrier at turn 1 on his second tour. And the barrier will need some work, and the penalty applied. No penalty applied, I should say. So no penalty applied to Victor Martins. He only had one barrier hit, even though it was a ginormous barrier hit. It was only once, and as a result, it's France who take a second win, and they'll have to repair things out on the circuit. But our second dramatic moment, Travis Pastrana getting all crossed up earlier on for Team USA. But then, in the end, you're looking at the hit for Louis Sharp, and he was never really able to get back into contention. And how hard was Victor Martins pushing?
Yeah.
There's your answer.
Well, you said how sideways will they go? He went pretty sideways.
He was very aggressive into turn one on the outside lane and made a note of that. There's the sight of him scraping down the Tech Pro. But crucially, only one hit of the barrier means no penalty. He managed to keep it clean for the rest of the lap. It's 2 wins and progression for France. Team France heading through, and they have managed to take it in 2.
The great thing about the FC2s is that they are paddle shift, but it's quite a heavy. So if you're used to just driving a supercar around, as I'm sure our 2 youngsters are, it's not like you just kind of touch it with your finger and it changes gear. It's like a clunk. You really have to physically pull the paddle backwards and forwards to change gear. So that takes some getting used to.
The All-Stars are going to take on France in the semi-final for the Rock Nations Cup. After we've had our entertaining quarter-final battles, still a couple to go. Welcome back to Sydney. It's the Rock Nations Cup on a Friday night under the lights, and Victor Martins. Now, I was surprised this wasn't a penalty at the time, because the way it's judged is that one small hit, you'll get away with it. Basically a tap and a second tap is the penalty. Enormous rearrangement of the circuit, that's been called a penalty by race control, and it means that we are not sending France through. It looks like we're going to need a decider. At least that's what we think at this stage.
Our first proper step into the stewards' room, really, for that one, because I think the key is, because the parallel track is only divided by that soft barrier, it did actually move the barrier into the lane and affect Louis Sharp's race. So I think that's the key, is that even though it was a first touch, one of the sort of sub-clauses of the driver's briefing from the stewards and race control is that if it moves it into the other lane and affects the other driver's lap, then that is a 5-second penalty. So I guess that's what's being discussed right now.
You've got to win another one, is the conversation going on. Hello. And Victor Martins being informed of the penalties. New Zealand in the house tonight. Watching on. Okay, so we do not have anything set at the moment. It's a penalty for the barrier clobber that we saw from Victor Martins, and as a result, had to stay within 5 seconds for Louis Sharp, but he did stay within 5 seconds. Let's have another interview now. Rosanna is down in the changing area.
Victor, you're not a happy man.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I was too much, too much committed. I went a bit too quick. Now I switched from the Subaru to the Rallycross, and the grip is not the same, So no, I went a bit too quick. But let's say the half of the lap after was nice. So let's see.
We like committed. We like a little bit too quick at Race of Champions. We're just watching it back. Sebastian Loeb going to go instead then?
Sorry?
Because you've got the penalty, so he's gonna drive?
Oh, I don't know. We are waiting. Because, I don't know. Let's see. But he's good. He will do the job anyway, so...
He's all right, isn't he, actually, Sebastian?
He will do the job. I'm not worried.
You enjoying your time at Race of Champions?
It's great. No, it's great. Great to be here. A lot of fun in the cars and watching also for the fan. I think it's a nice show.
And I saw you giving your number to Sebastian Loeb earlier, so now you guys are mates.
Yeah, for sure. No. We shared, some good things together. I think I can learn a lot from him. Maybe not him from me, but let's say now we enjoy being together, and let's try to win tonight.
Don't be so hard on yourself, Victor. Enjoy the rest of the evening.
Thank you.
Great humility there, and it was brilliant. As he's saying, yeah, he's pretty good with classic understatement. You can see Seb's just sitting behind him. In that pose, that is a classic Sebastian Loeb waiting pose. He can be with a tiny espresso in a tent in the middle of the desert, and his engineer will be saying 10 seconds before you have to go in the car, and he'll just slowly have a sip and get going.
Welcome back to Sydney. We've got a decider coming your way. That moment from Victor Martins into the barrier ruled beyond what was acceptable. A 5-second penalty dished out for hitting the barrier this hard. The drivers were warned in the briefing that they could be penalised if they had a big tap. And that was more than a tap. That was rearranging the Tech Pro. So even though he crossed the line first, a 5-second time penalty applied to Victor Martins. And it means we have a decider between France and New Zealand to decide who will join the All-Stars in our first semi-final later on.
I think he's also arguing in the case for the touch on the bridge from Louis Sharp as well. I think that's what Seb's, he's a stickler for the rules. If they're going to be applied to him, they need to be applied to everybody else.
Okay, so that seems to be unresolved.
I guess we'll have to come back to that decider heat of New Zealand versus France, because the show must go on, and the show is Travis Pastrana.
It is indeed. So Brown versus Pastrana. Will Brown versus Travis Pastrana. And we're going to see another edition here. Will Brown, the reigning Supercars champion. He won his first title in 2024. He's up against Travis Pastrana of Team USA. And they're both in the Polaris. So we have not yet resolved quarterfinal B, but we move on to quarterfinal C. It's the Australia Supercars versus Team USA. And it's all action from the start between these two competitors.
I think the passenger could see that they were on the big screen there, so gave it the rock hand signal, which is very funny.
Yeah, nice to see. All of these passengers are weight grouped to make sure that no one's got an unfair advantage, things you never thought you'd hear in the broadcast, but it is even that way. You know the drivers would complain if it was anything other. Will Brown finding himself with the advantage, and nearly going round, and he is going round. Big spin to bring up a cheer from the crowd. Travis Pastrana doing a full 360, and it was looking so good until that point, but it shows you how on edge they are. And it's going to be another win for Brown across the line. And the Supercars team continuing to have so much fun out there as Pastrana gave us a show and a spin that's left a cloud of tyre smoke drifting over the stadium here.
Love that. I mean, we're more used to seeing Travis Pastrana spin in the other direction when he's flipping motocross bikes.
Yeah.
And on this occasion, it was more of a lateral spin, but beautifully executed.
There's the clip of the barrier. The correction as well. Love to watch this talented field leaning on it, still leaning on it, still leaning on it. Wonderful.
Never actually stopped.
Styling it out so like
earlier on he had to find reverse. On that occasion it was just complete the 360.
What a great shot.
And that was the view that Will Brown had of that moment. He must have thought, oh, I've got this now.
What? I think you had me. That's devastating. Come on, Kurt, keep us in this thing. Yeah. Did you? Yeah, no, it doesn't matter. Yeah, that See, Kurt's not really good in all-wheel drive, so I think you guys got this.
struggles as well.
Okay, this will be interesting.
I'm loving the debrief.
Yeah.
It's wonderful to listen into, cool-down room style. That is excellent to hear them talking.
I wonder if that was mind games. Kurt's not really good at all-wheel drive.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see. He's already claimed a couple of victories tonight. He needs to claim one now.
Oh, what a great angle there. So the launch control on these FC2s is all about getting the revs up and holding the handbrake on. And we just saw the stick being pulled back to engage launch control. What a great insight into how to operate these rallycross beasts.
They really are beasts. From red to green to go. And off the line we go. And it was a slow getaway. It was a very slow getaway for the Team Australia Supercars entry of Brody Kostecki. He wasn't able to get the launch that he wanted. Can Busch continue on with that at the moment? It was a slight bog down off the line. Should give him an advantage as we cut the beam under the arch. Let's see. So it's a good advantage. It's not insurmountable, but it's a good advantage at this stage.
I would have expected Kurt to be a little bit further ahead, considering what happened at the start. So it's been a great first half lap from Kostecki.
Kostecki trying to come back into it. The Supercars champion of 2023. Right, it's all coming down to this. It's already 1 up for the Australia Supercars team. Can they go 2 up? Crowd are roaring, crowd are cheering. That's the reason why. Australia Supercars have another one on the boards, and they're heading through to the delight of the crowd who really got into that one. And Brody Kostecki has taken the win and taken his team through to the next round of the Nations Cup.
As they say around these parts, Aussie, 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 oi, oi, oi. He did extremely well there. Crowd giving him an extra few 10, 15 horsepower, I'd say, to get around. It's great to have a crowd here and great to hear the noise and the love for their drivers.
It was an unideal start.
Oh, it was a big...
Oh, 2?
You didn't spot that, yeah. The big inside curb barrier touch from Kurt Busch.
Busch trying to push to the extremities of the circuit. Brody celebrating again. And he'll go racing, he will hope, in the semi-finals. Not sure who they'll be running first, but they're delighted with it. Supercar boys representing Australia, heading through to the semi-finals, and they give the encouragement there to Australia Off-Road, who are still coming through. So the All-Stars have made it through. We've still got to have a decider between France and New Zealand, and Australia Supercars have made it through. They've eliminated Team USA.
We're about to go out there and do a strip run in a minute.
Smiles all round.
So
Team Australia.
They used to be teammates, those two. They're talking to Fredrik Jonsson, who's the founder and the brains behind Race of Champions. And there's Team USA being commiserated by the Aussies.
Yeah, straight into the debrief about it. Strada knew that they had to get up and running. So Kurt Busch out of retirement, and the NASCAR Cup champion notching a couple of wins in his evening. So they carry on as the cheerleaders are out on the circuit. DC was joining in earlier on, I have to say.
He has got some moves.
We had that at the very start. Seems a while ago now, as we make our way through the evening. On our way to crown a new Nations Cup winner after the Norwegian dominance of the last couple of years.
Thanks to everyone who's watching this all around the world. We appreciate that the time zones may not have been friendly, but we know loads of people watching in the States, in Europe, so thank you. We hope you're enjoying the show.
Okay, time for another interview. You can hear from Kurt Busch down in the car area.
Kurt, I thought you were going to have that one.
Yeah, it was. I got a good launch, and then I felt like I was too conservative in the fast sections. Travis had a little trouble. I was notified by that, but all in all, the FC2 is the biggest challenge for me at Race of Champions. It's a rally car with all-wheel drive. It's got a ton of power. It's super light. It's fun. Like, it's a blast, but you got to be on your game here. And we went up against two of the best Aussies. We knew we had our work cut out for us, but I had a blast. I mean, I should have took a bit more of a risk on the bridge and maybe got just the warning and moved a barrier, and that way I could have gained, half a second. But still, that time was not enough to beat these Aussies. So.
Now, you've come out of retirement for this. Are you pleased with your decision?
Yeah, it was great. I always love coming to any event to race. It gets that adrenaline going. The fraternity of drivers. It's so much fun to banter and to smile, and even just having a couple tinnies with the boys last night. They were talking me up like, man, we used to watch NASCAR just because of you. And it's like, damn, I'm getting old. But that was fun.
No, experience, and it's great to have you here with us, Kurt.
Thank you so much.
So the little air quotes there around the warning. I'm glad I brought up, bridge chat earlier on, because it is clearly down in the car changing area. Let's not say a bone of contention, but they are keeping a very close eye on the amount of movement of barrier on bridge and what it means to the timing screen. So that's what that air quote was about, because it's supposed to be a warning, or is it?
Yeah.
Luckily, the stewards have got to make those decisions and not us.
Yeah, that's a steward's problem. That is definitely over to them. He makes a good point, though. If you're not getting the warning, you're leaving time on the table, because you can straight line it if you clip one side of the barriers. And we're all looking at the contest to come. And next up, it is Vettel versus Taylor. We are looking forward to that.
The man on the left is Andreas Eriksson, who's in charge of building the supercar lights and the FC2. So, Kurt can have a word with him if he wants to get used to how to drive the all-wheel drive rallycross car.
All-Stars beat Norway. France and New Zealand will need a decider. We believe it's going to be Loeb versus Sharp later on. The Australian supercar team are through, and Team USA are out. Next up, it is Sebastian Vettel out to take the wheel for Germany, and then we will see what the off-road Aussies can do. Can they do what the supercar team have been able to do so far? And there we are.
We like things analog.
No, I like it. I like it a lot. Putting the team name in the semi-finals, and they've been superb so far. Off track, on track, having a lot of fun. Team Australia won the supercars. And champion from 2023 and 2024, living up to their billing. They're looking great, but to progress at this stage, you've got to be very, very strong behind the wheel. And the debrief, the conversations, everything is continuing.
So Molly Taylor there, looking at the back of a Subaru populated by Sebastian Vettel. Now, Germany have won the Rock Nations Cup more times than any other nation. So you'd have to think that them up against the Australia off-road team, who came through as the best qualifying third place, you have to think that this is the Australian team have everything to do, but the crowd here will give them that extra boost.
Yeah, they will indeed. Molly Taylor, the 2024 and 2021 Extreme E champion, up against four-time Formula One world champion Sebastian Vettel. They're in the Subarus. Red light on. It's going to turn green. We're going to go racing. We're underway. And Sebastian Vettel gets the good launch off the line. What can Molly Taylor do? Can she put him under the sort of pressure that we've seen earlier on, where he's been flicking elements of the Tech Pro out of the way, notably on the apexes of corners? Vettel's got to keep it tight as he tries to take Team Germany through. They're looking for their 9th Nations Cup in the competition tonight. That's the plan. Sebastian Vettel comes through in the Subaru. He's got an advantage.
Not close, though.
Not insurmountable. Really not insurmountable. Keeping it clean. Drivers trying to find a way of getting this Subaru to speak to them. And now, can Molly Taylor take that risk take a step forward and put the pressure on Sebastian Vettel. It's best of 3 this, and is the speed around the outside for Molly Taylor. How brave is she feeling into the final corner? Can she go all in? Foot to the floor, Sebastian Vettel's going to take it. But my word, it was close between the two of them. Team Germany take the win. Vettel takes it, and look at the gap, under 0.2 of a second. He wasn't sure where he was. He has to be told that he's taken the win.
Superb, brilliant race, Molly Taylor. Still the youngest ever Australian rally champion and the first woman to do it. Running Sebastian Vettel that close.
A really, really good effort. And it was very brave stuff on the second loop. Molly Taylor brought her back into contention.
You notice how they folded in the wing mirrors, because obviously you don't need them.
Yes.
And those are the things that will
Wise.
clip the barriers up on the chicane over the bridge. So still giving it a lot of respect, those barriers, Molly, there.
Oh, that's what 10th.5 looks like across the line. Second closest finish of the day. We've had 1 in the hundredths so far today. Wasn't by much.
Less
but
than a car length.
Was by enough for Sebastian Vettel. Continuing to look very strong for Team Germany, but potentially the car where he's looked slightly on the back foot compared to the others. Who's back
So
in?
now their teammates have a chance to represent them, and if it's a Germany win from Mick Schumacher, then Germany go through ominously for everybody else into the final, but into the semi-finals. I apologise.
And they're in the KTMs, so will this give the advantage, being open wheel, to Mick Schumacher, Formula 3 champion, Formula 2 champion? Or are we going to see something truly, truly exceptional from a 2-time Dakar winner on the bikes?
I suppose the fact that this, there's a KTM crossbow, so that the motorbike heritage gives Toby something
Absolutely
to cling
true.
on to.
Toby Price, Mick Schumacher. Australia off-road, racing to stay in the competition. Massive amount of wheel spin for Mick Schumacher off the line. Didn't seem to hold him up, though. What an angle that is.
That's a great angle.
That is superb. So, Australia off-road trying to progress, trying to stay in the competition. There is the
Mick
Australia
looked a little
off-road.
wild going into the bridge there. He was sliding a little bit.
The man who won on 2 wheels on a KTM, trying to keep his team in the competition in a KTM with 4 wheels. His crossbow car, a mainstay in the race of champions. This one is tight, this one is active, and this one is going the distance. Schumacher heading to the longer loop back. It's a shorter route on the inside line. This is going to be really close. Toby Price versus Mick Schumacher. Who's prepared to take the risk? Who's going to get there? It's going to be a decider, because Toby Price has taken the off-roading Australians to a deciding race.
Look at the grin on Toby's face.
Decided by 0.08 of a second, and that will be satisfaction. KTM once again reunited with it, and another victory, this time in the Nations Cup. And it was tight all the way to the line, under 0.1 of a second.
So watch Mick Schumacher here. He slides a little bit too wide and has to correct it on the way into the bridge. I think that's where he lost a little bit of time. Maybe that 0.8 of a second, who knows?
Well, he has won titles on bikes, he has won titles in trucks, and now he has kept his team in it when it comes to single-seater and an open-wheel entry. Team Australia Off-Road celebrating. Molly Taylor and Toby Price still have a fighting chance of keeping their home crowd happy, as Sebastian Vettel says well done, and Mick Schumacher says the same as well.
So I think they will get a chance to pause, maybe, because we may get the decider from the other quarter-final between France and New Zealand before they have to go again.
They were expecting that to be the order. So we keep racing, and we've only got 2 semi-finalists at the moment. Keep the action coming, that's what I say. We've got some deciders coming your way to fill those final 2 spots. Okay, let's now hear from Sebastian Vettel, speaking to Rosanna Tanner.
Sebastian, the night is not over for Team Germany. You've got to race again to secure your place in the semi-finals. Are you ready?
Good that it's not over. So, yeah, looking forward. That's the format, you know. It can go any way. So now it's one-on-one against Toby, so I'm looking forward to it.
And you've been, should we say, kissing the barriers a little bit? Got to keep it clean.
I don't know, did I?
Over the course of being here, just a little bit.
With not this race. Was it this race? I'm not sure. Don't confuse me now. Now you get in my head.
Mind games already starting back here. How do you rate your chances against Toby Price? Of course, so well known, but not on tarmac.
Well, I did pretty well. You know, he was just ahead of Mick, so I think it's going to be close. I expect nothing else. I'm in a rally car, so maybe that. Yeah, I think it's fair. It's not my home. It's usually a little bit more. Let's say he's a bit more familiar to these kind of sliding and these kind of cars. But yeah, it will be fun.
And what is it like out there? I know you say fun, but the crowd going wild, putting on a show for everybody here in Sydney.
The crowd is very fair. You know, a lot of cheers out there. So it's great to be in the car and have some fun.
Well, good luck. Let's see if you can make it through to the semi-finals.
Thank you.
Excellent to hear from Sebastian Vettel there. Always pragmatic, but also the kind of slightly wide-eyed. Me, touch a barrier. Meanwhile, the crowd here and the drivers themselves are being treated to a show. Terry Grant and Lee Bowers working together to entertain them. And the great thing about Terry is not only is he a multi Guinness record breaker, he is part of the core Race of Champions family. The track, the design of the track, he's part of the team that designs the track for best racing and the most efficient but exciting way to get all of these cars and all these drivers able to compete safely but also entertainingly. But then, of course, at a moment's notice, he's got his drift car and his legend to come and entertain the crowd with Lee Bowers.
Yeah, great entertainment for the crowd all the way. And it's worth saying, you mentioned the track a few moments ago, Neil. It took $2 million to build it, 50 trucks of sand, 200 trucks of asphalt, and 8 days to build. That was 24-hour shifts to turn this place. I mean, this place is going to be hosting rugby league in a couple of weeks' time. It will be transformed back, and it's given us a fantastic. There you go, 6 days to the first NRL game, 2 days to dismantle. And it provides us with a wonderful, wonderful setting, an unusual setting. And for the first time since 2018, our first stadium setting. It's been a great night so far. We've had shocks, we've had teams eliminated that we didn't expect. We're getting to the business end now, and we are heading for a couple of deciders. Okay, coming your way in a few moments' time. Loeb versus Sharp, Vettel versus Price. It's going to be a thriller. Fantastic sight, and we've been enjoying the sights and the sounds of Sydney. The Accor Stadium playing host to this year's 33rd running of the Race of Champions, and we are continuing with a tradition started in 1999. It's the Nations Cup night. Let's now hear from Mick Schumacher speaking to Rosanna.
Mick, you've got such a wide smile on your face. You are loving being here in Sydney, aren't you?
Loving being here in Sydney, love being here with Race of Champions. Obviously, didn't fancy losing, but Toby did a great job. So, no, obviously, he going up against Sebastian now, so we'll see how it is and how it's going. But looking good so far. Obviously, I got to pick up my pace a little bit. Sebastian's kind of getting us out of dirt the whole time, so I got to start contributing a bit to his efforts.
You're having a great debrief with Sebastian, and then you're having a great chat with Victor Martins about how tricky some of these cars are. Which are the ones that you're finding really challenging?
All of them, to be honest. Grip seems to be quite different compared to yesterday when we did the practice runs. Especially the KTM was quite tricky now. I had a big lockup going into turn 2, was on the outside there the first lap. Then from there on it was just playing catch up. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm not quite sure which is the next car for me, but I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Great having you here in Sydney and keeping your fingers crossed for Team Germany.
Thank you.
Loving the comments from Mick Schumacher, speaking to Rosanna and saying that he needs to up his game. I don't think he needs to up his game. He's been in contention all the way through. Can I interest you in a couple of deciders for the semi-finals to get there? We've got a couple of quarters to sort out. So, heading it back, we had some superb action earlier on where it was Loeb getting things up and running up against Padden. Louis Sharp making contact with the barrier, but not that big a contact. That belonged to Victor Martins. He got a penalty, and the penalty afterwards meant that we had a bit of a conversation about what had to happen, and what had to happen is we need a decider. So onto the circuit we will go.
Previously on France versus New Zealand.
It's so exciting, that show, previously on France versus New Zealand. We need a decider, we're going to get a decider. It is Sébastien Loeb versus Louis Sharp. It is France versus New Zealand for a place in the semi-finals. 9-time World Rally Champion Sébastien Loeb versus Louis Sharp. That sums up how exciting it's been. You don't leave any time on the table. You don't need wing mirrors.
Where we're going, you don't need wing mirrors.
This is all for Loeb to lose, all for Sharp to gain. That's how it stands on the evidence of tonight so far. They're in the Toyotas and they're racing for a place in the semi-finals. This is the decider. Winner takes all. Winner progresses. France versus New Zealand. We go over the bridge. Is it clean? You bet it is. And it sounds fantastic for Team France as well. Let's see what Loeb can do through the twisty sections. We're looking for the rotation of the car to see. And at the moment, it's going very much to plan for Sébastien Loeb. Victor Martins, his teammate, was confident in his ability, and there is an advantage at this stage. Again, it's not mammoth, it's not impossible, and one mistake could change everything here. What can Louis Sharp do as we make our way following under the bridge with Sébastien Loeb, looking to get through, looking to take Victor Martins and himself and Team France into the semi-finals.
It's going to be close.
It's going to be closer than maybe we expected. It's going to be very close. Who can take the power through? It's going to be Loeb, but he's being pushed all the way. Sébastien Loeb takes the win, and France advance to the semi-finals. But what a great effort from Louis Sharp. He gave it absolutely everything behind the wheel of his Toyota, and in the end, Loeb only progressed by 0.2 of a second. A great effort. And the quarter-final is resolved in favour of France. But that was a superb effort from Sharp, who was able to push all the way. Louis Sharp, showing well behind the wheel, progressed all the way through the competition. He's finding form with every lap that he runs. But it's France who take the quarter-finals.
Louis staying sharp, way past his bedtime. He's only 17 years old, but doing brilliantly. You know, what a moment. I know he's got a fabulous career in racing cars ahead of him, but I don't think he'll ever forget racing against Sébastien Loeb under the lights at the Accor Stadium here in Sydney.
You're absolutely right. It's one of the great things of this occasion. This is what it looks like, another close finish. This was under 0.2 of a second. At the line, and at the line, Victor Martins, all smiles. And he is delighted. Great camaraderie down there in what is effectively our paddock area where the drivers change cars. Handshakes all around. Sébastien Loeb doing enough, and that is great to see.
How old are you? I was not.
Don't know if you caught it out, but he said, how old are you?
Yeah, that's lovely kudos from Sébastien.
Well, we had to work for it. Victor Martins giving the information up.
About what the next car is that he's going to have to be driving. You can see the reaction.
He didn't seem thrilled, but there we go. Okay, Germany versus Australia off-road.
Previously on Germany versus Australia off-road.
So the win for Germany, not by much. And then Australia Off-Road needed this to stay in the competition. They got it, and in the end, they got it by 0.08 of a second. And we're ready, once again, to see what we'll get out there. Toby Price versus Sebastian Vettel is going to be our matchup in the semi-finals. Really, really interesting to see the car that they are in, the FC2 four-wheel drive.
These cars will next do competitive battle, I think in Montalegre in the Rally X Europe Series. But right now they are sounding, you know, for me, the best sounding car in this stadium because they are turbo. You know, it's a 2.3 litre turbo engine, which means you get the bangs.
Really
echo around the stadium.
It's a wonderful sound. There's a lot on the line here. It's going to be the All-Stars versus France. It's going to be the Australian supercar team. Will it be an all-Australian semi-final? Will it be Sebastian Vettel taking Germany back there again? Great launch off the line for the four-time world champion. Vettel's in the black car. The white car belongs to Toby Price, who is trying to steal his way through the decider. This is winner take all. It's been a good start to the lap for Sebastian Vettel. Can he keep it clean? Can he keep it tidy? Can Price get that rear end out and put the pressure on? Oversteery balance. Let's see. Let's look at the gap. That is not insurmountable at all. That seems to suggest, Neil, that it's going to... Oh, no, I was going to say it was going to be close. But that's a clobber of the barrier, just like we saw from Victor Martins a couple of moments ago.
It's just behind Sebastian Vettel's view, so he won't have seen that. But he has got an advantage now because Toby Price did clobber that barrier.
Sebastian Vettel in a decider. And he's going to do the job, punching the air, taking victory. Sebastian Vettel sends Team Germany to the semi-finals. It's the All-Stars versus France for a place in the final. And then it's the Australian supercar team up against Team Germany as they repair the barrier and Vettel prevails in the decider. It's not quite the finger celebration of old, but he's punching the air, and it gives you an idea of how motivated he is to try and make Germany 9 times Nation Cup winners.
Look at that, a great shot of what four-wheel drive looks like. 550 horsepower when it's on full revs, launch control off the line. That's a great shot.
Oh, it was close for that moment into the barrier at the start of the second loop, costing Toby Price, but he did so well to get the win earlier on. And he's been a credit to his team all the way through the event, which continues tomorrow night as we look to crown our champion of champions. And Mick Schumacher relieved that the story continues for him and Sebastian Vettel. They will progress. And that is going to be, I mean, it's always brilliant at semi-final stage, but it's getting tasty. It's getting really tasty. The All-Stars are going to do battle with France, the Australian team, the sole remaining team. So we'll just call them Australia from this point on. The Supercar boys up against Team Germany for a place in the final. The best of 3 format is providing plenty of entertainment. Team Germany sealing their place on the board in the semi-finals. And you really can make a case for anyone taking the crown from this point on. Car choice, car decision, really, is going to be absolutely vital. Do you get something that you're comfortable in? Some drivers, everyone getting the briefing of how to operate it. You were mentioning things like launch control earlier in the week. This has been a rapid learning process.
I think we can safely say they'll all be driving the crossbows at some point. Well, each team will be driving the crossbows during these semi-finals, definitely. And then I reckon we'll get the Polaris and the supercar lights That's my prediction.
I'm liking the prediction.
Thanks. Got my crystal ball out. But the great look at France and Germany. So 2 nations that have been successful in the Rock Nations Cup, and 1 Australian team left.
Molly, it wasn't to be. You guys are knocked out. How are you feeling? How's Toby feeling after that one?
I haven't seen Toby yet. I think he's just jumping out of the car now. But, oh, look, we're having so much fun tonight, and to be in good battles, you know, given that this is also new for us, I think we're really happy. And would have been nicer to find one more 10th in that last round against Vettel, but I will take having a race with you know, one of my heroes. So that was pretty special, and the crowd's just been absolutely amazing.
That's what I was going to say. You're able to say, like, I wish I'd had another 10th against the 4-time world champion in Formula One, Sebastian Vettel. It still sounds good, Molly.
Yeah, I'll take it, but I'll be running that lap through my head for a while, definitely.
That is a racing driver mentality. But look, Team Australia still in the mix. Whoa, so special for Australia to be here racing in front of the Australian crowd.
Yeah, so good, and the Supercars team are doing awesome, so smashing it everywhere. So I think, yeah, we'll put all our efforts behind them now and cheer them all the way home.
How special is it for Australia to host the Race of Champions? I know you were taking the guys around Sydney, showing them your home city. It's huge, isn't it, for it to come to the Southern Hemisphere and to be here first?
Yeah, it's massive for Australian motorsport to have, you know, an event like this, and especially as an Australian trying to compete internationally, it's really difficult. We're a long way away. You're always travelling over, and it's just, you know, not as big here. So to have everyone come to our home shore and put on this show for all the Aussie motorsport fans, it's huge for motorsport. So yeah, massive opportunity to be involved, and yeah, just trying to take a minute to soak it all in because it's pretty surreal.
And as we look at the board behind us, we've got some big players in that semi-final. Who are you seeing in the final, do you think?
Oh, Team Australia.
Going all the way.
Going all the way. Maybe against All-Stars, so we get 3 Aussies in the final, but as long as they beat my former teammate Johan, then we're all good.
Love it. Well done.
Thank you.
An insight there into their days as teammates in Extreme E, Johan Kristoffersson and Molly Taylor. And she won't get to race against him because the off-roaders are out, and Kristoffersson plows on.
It's Nation Cup night, and the Race of Champions continues its first ever event in Sydney. Nations Cup night, and we have reached the semi-final stage. The All-Stars will take on France. Australia will take on Germany, and that is going to lead to some really interesting matchups when we get to this stage. The All-Star team is half Australian and and half Swedish as well. As everyone collects their thoughts, and Neil Cole, it is very much the business end of the competition. So much talent out there. The wonderful thing about this competition is you see so many different combinations, and now it's going to be all out attack and precision to take the trophy.
Absolutely. The bonhomie there in the car changing area switches massively when they get the helmet on. You know, they really, you can't overstate how much every single driver wants to win. And the added pressure of tomorrow, all of these guys will be best friends in there and frenemies outside. But with a teammate, when you know you're representing A, your teammate, and B, your country, that gives it an extra frisson, I think. And, you know, in most motorsport, your teammate is your biggest rival, but here, you need them to do as well as, if not better than you.
Yeah, a strange dynamic, but a really fun dynamic for the entire event and the entire night, especially with the Nations Cup. And you are looking at the lineup for the second semi-final. They're on the couch at the moment in the car changing area. It is effectively our paddock for the evening.
There they are. You're absolutely right. That's the two Aussie Supercar teammates and the two Team Germany teammates who know they don't have to race for another 15 minutes. So helmets off and chill.
Luxury, feet up. It's very comfortable down there. Who's complaining about the heat down there?
The Aussies.
Yeah. What's going on? I think it might be the British winter I've endured. It was fine for me. Crowd looking forward to the excitement as we build into the final stages. In recent years, this has been Norway's competition, but we've moved back to the asphalt, and we are going to have an interesting conclusion here, because will it be a return to form and extending the record for Germany? Will it be the All-Stars triumphing, a super team comprised of a Swede and an Aussie? Will France be taking the trophy? And it would be a long time between drinks for France. If they're able to get back there, it would be the first time since 2004. Neil was referencing that earlier, and they are out on the circuit and straight back in again.
So I think that perhaps that if the tyres are cold on one of the cars, then they give a car a chance to have a lap to warm the tyres up. If the cars are both cold, or if there's something wrong with one of the cars, they'll pull them back in, let that next heat go, and fix what's wrong with one of the cars. That might be what's happened.
Okay, so problem with Kristoffersen's car means that we have deleted things for the order, and as a result, we find ourselves moving on to the next heat.
So it's young Martins versus Mostert.
So Martins in your picture there. Victor Martins in the black car on the left-hand side. Chaz Mostert, part of the All-Stars. Light goes red, light goes green, we go racing. And it's a good launch off the line for Victor Martins, who's taking as much of the inside line there as possible after his moment into the barriers earlier in the competition. He's leading. Wasn't expecting to have to lead off here in the crucial semi-final. Martins having a good first stint of this 1 kilometre lap.
Yeah, they had to jump to it, didn't they? They would have thought they'd had at least a couple of minutes before they had to go, but they're always ready to stick the loud pedal down on these supercar lights.
It's looking good. Chaz Mostert doesn't look particularly happy at this stage. It's a sizable lead for Victor Martins. Mostert, can he come back? Can he show all of his considerable talent and come back at the end here? A real fan favourite, a real following. It's going to be close. Checkered flag is waiting. Checkered flag waves for Victor Martins. And that first loop built the foundation for the victory. And in the semi-final, France go 1-up.
Victory for Victor there. And I wonder, what you spotted on that first turn was a really good call, because I think maybe Sebastian Loeb, I don't know, has said you can take a tighter line into turn 1 if you're on the inside lane, because there's slight barriers in the donut area, but fundamentally you can cross that white line and really shave some time off.
Yeah, half of the corner is available to cut effectively. And that was noticeably a different line for Victor Martins. It helps when your mentor is a 9-time champion. I mean, it's useful.
Yeah.
As we went on, Mostert going all in, knowing that he had to try and find a response, carrying a huge amount of speed around that final corner. Not enough, and Martins knows that goes a long way to taking his team to the final. The All-Stars will have an argument.
Don't leave me hanging.
Don't leave him hanging. No one is taking the win.
I was just trying to work out what "don't leave me hanging" is in French, but it took me too long. Look at her face.
Yeah.
So yeah, as you said earlier, the passengers are in weight categories so that there's fairness and balance of the car, but they tend to be VIPs, competition winners, but sometimes they're fellow drivers or partners of drivers. So we never know who's alongside some of these drivers, but what we do know is they're getting an experience of a lifetime, especially if you're sitting against a future star, sitting next to a future star like Victor Martins, and it's a winning race.
Victor Martins is going to have a great professional motorsport career, no matter where he ends up. He's going to do everything in the Formula 2 Championship of this year to prove Alpine wrong. And with ART, he's going to do what he hopes the likes of George Russell have done in the past and win with that team and take the title. He progresses into his third year in that championship, but he's got the win completed and he's put France on the brink of the final as they try to take their first Nations Cup since way back in 2004.
So what we're going to see now is Sebastian Loeb and Johan Kristoffersen. They'll come out in the KTM crossbows and, you know, do not adjust your set. They are going to do half a lap to go round and come back to the start-finish line, basically to warm up these cars, warm up the tires, and make sure it's fair for both of them. And that's the key, is the team work incredibly hard in the paddock to make sure that every single vehicle that these drivers get into is at its optimum to take to the track and also equal for both parties. Otherwise, you know, that book of excuses can be ripped up when you think you didn't have. It's like when you go karting. Oh, I had the slow one. That doesn't happen here. They are always equal machinery. So when we see these crossbows come out, don't panic. They're going to do one full tour before they start, and it's all about getting them in optimum race spec.
That's what we want to see. We want to be talking about the brilliance behind the wheel rather than any potential issues. It's going to be Johan Kristoffersen up against Sebastian Loeb. Kristoffersen will be in the white car. Loeb will be in the all-black KTM crossbow. They're just pulling short of their starting positions. Loeb getting the same warm-up lap, just building the anticipation. France looking to progress in two. Kristoffersen now being switched to the starting lane as we check in with the French driver. It's a pretty aggressive warm-up for Sebastian Loeb. Like we expected anything else. The barrier is open for him. Lane change, and he will park up, ready to try and book his nation's place in the final.
That's a tradition of rallycross as well, as they both did what happens on the grid. The pre-grid is a tyre warm-up. So they both did that, so that's fair, you know, all's fair as they pull up to the start line.
There's Kristoffersen looking on. Johan Kristoffersen is a 7-time FIA World Rallycross champion. He is an Extreme E champion. He's up against Sebastian Loeb, a 9-time World Rally champion. France looking to get their second win and progress to the final. For the All-Stars, they must take victory here. We're racing down to turn number 1. Good launch off the line for Kristoffersen. He really needed that, and he got it into the first turn of the racetrack in the KTM, trying to be super aggressive as he weaves his way through the chicane, over the bridge and into the left-hander. He's had a great couple of corners to open up the lap.
Yeah, that's a very impressive start from Johan Kristoffersen. And World Rallycross is one of the few championships that Loeb ever entered that he didn't win. So his rival at the time was Johan Kristoffersen, and Kristoffersen is still the GOAT of Rallycross.
He looks very comfortable in the KTM. And Sebastian Loeb in the second 500 meters of the lap. Find more aggression, find more purchase, and find a way back into this race, because Kristoffersen has shot off into the distance here, knowing it was must win. He will win. This one's going to a decider. Kristoffersen takes the All-Star win, takes the checkered flag, and takes us to a third and deciding race.
We have a decider.
Excellent, excellent stuff in the semi-final. It will go the distance. And that is exactly what you want to see when it's all on the line. He just seemed to have a confidence from the very first turn with this machinery.
And that'll be a nice thing for Victor Martins to remember, is that in the decider it will be him and not Sebastian Loeb who has the all or nothing, go hard or go home responsibility.
Yeah, it's a very good point. Round the final corner we go.
That's a big win for Kristoffersen.
He delivered under the pressure of knockout. The debrief is in progress. And the team all-stars, Johan Kristoffersen and Chaz Mostert.
Keep going round.
Oh, there you go.
That's it.
Easy when you know how.
I think you've got to do a
Okay, Rosanna Tenen has changed location, I'm hearing. She's moved to the driver lounge, but who is she speaking to? Let's find out.
Petter, I know this isn't where you wanted to be sitting this evening, but it's not too bad with a glass of red watching the action, is it?
No, honestly, we love Race of Champions, you know. It's the whole atmosphere, and of course, two of my best friends are driving here, you know, Loeb and Kristoffersen. So it's a good competition, that is for sure. But me and Oliver, yeah, we are a little bit disappointed, but we are still here and, you know, support all the other guys, and I think that's very important.
Well, I know Solberg fans didn't get to see much of your action tonight.
No, we get one run.
But that's the thing, isn't it?
We went to Australia for one run, but yeah, unfortunately, but you know, this is how it is, and it's a new chances tomorrow, so we will do everything we can, and we will see how it goes.
Of course, Champion of Champions still awaits you tomorrow, but this evening, who do you think is going to be crowned the Nation Cup winners? Who have you got your eye on?
Well, you know, now it was equal now in the semis with All Stars from France, but I believe France and Germany.
Oh, the home crowd are going to go mad, Petter. There's going to be booing galore.
No, but we will see. But I think the Australian guys have been very impressive. And I think it's very good for Australia. So let's see. You know, everything can happen. Because if you touch something, you get penalty. So we will find out.
The supercar guys have really shown their skills, because a couple of them weren't even expecting to be here this weekend, haven't they? Amazing.
Yeah, honestly, you know, they have... you know, improved from the testing, and they're going very well. They're very nice guys, and you know, a lot of passion. But obviously, everybody who is here are very good drivers. So this is Race of Champions, and if you're good, you are here.
Yeah, absolutely. But also, it's a lot of banter, isn't it? Behind the scenes, you guys are giving each other a little bit of stick, a bit of mind games. I know you always like catching up with David Coulthard.
Yeah, David Coulthard is normally the worst one, you know, in the positive way. But yeah, but the thing is, you know, it takes so small details to be in or out, and you know, so Travis before, he did really well in the first lap, then he did a small mistake with the spin, and then he's out. So you have to also push and be on the limit to go further.
You do. You'll hand your crown over later on. Who that will be to, we're about to find out. Petter, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Petter Solberg not looking too unhappy to be watching on from the driver's lounge.
And his son Oliver in the background there, really enjoying being a very, very talented and successful driver in his own right. But he's, you know, he will happily claim Petter as one of his heroes, which is lovely.
Terry Grant finding his car. That's where I parked. On the track at the Race of Champions, he's been thrilling the crowd on Nations Cup night, back behind the wheel.
That's quite a good trick, isn't it? If someone says you can't park there, well, it's not technically parked. I may have left it there to pop into the shop, but it's still moving. It's still moving.
Can't give that a ticket. Terry Grant having a ball out there, and we're having a lot of fun. Here in Sydney at the Race of Champions, we need a new Nations Cup winner. It was Norway in the last couple of entries. Is it going to be Team Germany? Mick Schumacher's going to try and ensure that. He is taking his car to the line. He is going to be up against Brody Kostecki. Kostecki, the 2023 Supercars champion. They've looked really comfortable in everything they've been in all the way through. This is the most outlandish, though. It will be comfortable on the sand dunes rather than the tarmac. It's got much smaller wheels, as Neil's been telling us earlier in the broadcast. They're down to 10 inches, so it's rapid compared to normal. very grippy tarmac as well. And it is Schumacher versus Kostecki as we progress to the second semi-final. The first semi-final needs a decider, and we are underway for race one of the second semi-final. Mick Schumacher in the Day-Glow red car, the Polaris, the buggy making its way over the bridge. And Kostecki is under the bridge now. You're looking for a gap of around 5 car lengths to be the offset between first and second. If it's any more than that, if it's any less than that, then we have a defined winner, and it's a smidge of advantage to Mick Schumacher, I'd say, but we're very much, Neil, in the close race zone.
Yeah, I think this one is going to be close, and the great thing about the way the drivers have adapted to these Polaris Pro Rs, which, you know, they're Dakar winning vehicles, Baja winning vehicles, King of the Hammers winners. They've really managed to adapt. But always a bit of a barrier clip there.
Schumacher rearranging the circuit furniture. This is going to be tight. How much speed can the Australian take around the final corner? Fantastic from Brodie Kostecki, who takes it on the line. Great speed around the final corner of the circuit, and he's beaten Mick Schumacher to take the opening win. Australia Supercars up by 1 in the second semi-final.
Yeah, and the crowd went absolutely wild at that close finish there. Brad Kostecki, but I think it was a little bit ragged from both of them. I'm sure I spotted a couple of barrier touches. And is that the rain coming down as well? I've only just noticed that.
Yes,
we've got rain, which means that the tarmac will become extra slippery on these sort of gravel spec all-weather tires.
That is going to add another dimension to what has been an enthralling night. I have to say, we've had a lot of fun. There are smiles on faces in the crowd, but there are also umbrellas up in the crowd. If you're in one of the early rows, Sebastian Vettel is being applauded to the line. Brodie did the job. The 2023 champion of Supercars. Mr. Kostecki has taken the win. It is therefore an elimination race that Sebastian Vettel is trying to save. Here we go. Germany must win this. Vettel must win this. The green light illuminates, and we go racing with the rain falling at a core stadium. Where is the grip? How much can you push? How much risk are you willing to take? For Vettel, there's no choice. If Team Germany want a chance, they've got to take the win here.
Well, the great thing about the changeable weather here in Sydney over the last few days is they have had practice in all cars on a wet track, so it won't be too alien for them looking for that grip.
That's a good start to the race for Sebastian Vettel. He's much, much closer across the line after half a lap. It means that he theoretically has the lead in the KTM, in the white KTM that he is driving. The rain continuing to come down, and you know how good Sebastian Vettel is in the wet. He won his first ever Grand Prix in appalling conditions in Monza. As the rain falls, he will take the win. We're heading to a semi-final decider. In semi-final number 2, Vettel wins for Team Germany with the rain pouring down. And that is a spectacular sight. Both semi-finals heading to a third and deciding race.
Incredible skill to adapt to the sudden glistening slipperiness of the asphalt, freshly laid. And we all know what fresh tarmac is like when it's newly wet.
The definition of poor timing for both of them out there. Supercars, Australian Supercars team took the first one. Second one taken by the 4-time champion of the world.
Just going to show how competitive this is that we've had quite a lot of deciders.
Yeah.
And both of these semi-finals are going to a decider.
2 deciders to come. It's another exciting edition of Inspector Seb. He's wondering what tyres on the Toyota.
What's that? They put new tyres. New tyres? Yeah, only on his. How are you worrying? I'm not worried.
Playing the mind game with Brody, I love it.
You got him there.
Gonna be Vettel versus Kostecki in the decider. It's Kristoffersson versus Martins. They'll be racing Subarus, and you're looking at Sebastian Vettel next to the car he'll be racing. Great lineup, just a really, really great lineup that we've got for these deciders. Martins getting the chance, the young gun. Kristoffersson, all that prowess in rallycross. Vettel with the Formula One titles, and Kostecki with the win in Bathurst in their endurance race, the 1000, and with the title a year before. Okay, let's hear from Sebastian Loeb. He is downstairs in the changing area speaking to Rosanna.
Seb, this is tense stuff and a change in conditions. How are you going to deal with this one?
I don't know. At the moment, we have to see if my teammate wins this heat, because this will be the key to go in final or not. So it will be a tough race for him. He is against Johan Kristoffersson, so it will not be easy. But for the condition, it will be the same for everybody. We have to adapt ourselves. So yeah, I'm looking forward to see how it goes now.
What have you said to Victor as he got in the car?
He seems quite confident in his driving. He's doing very well since the beginning of the race. So yeah, he will do his best. I couldn't teach him really anything. He's good enough.
Well, he was telling me earlier he's been learning a lot from you. How great is it to work with the young generation coming up through the ranks as well?
It's always nice to share some different experience. For sure, he's young, but he has a big experience in motorsport, in circuit racing, in Formula One, so single-seaters, Formula 2, but single-seaters. So it's always interesting to share some things together and to speak about our career. And we spoke for sure about the rally, how it works. So yeah, and now we try to share our information that we can get from the cars to try to optimize everything.
A lot of people think this is all about banter, a little bit of fun, some mind games, but I saw you having a good old chat with the stewards earlier, working at that penalty earlier on in the competition. You are still as competitive as ever, Sebastian.
Yeah, I didn't complain, but for sure we didn't think it's completely fair. But at the end, okay, we are here for fun mostly. Then when we are in the car, for sure we want to compete. But okay, we went through. Now we are in semi-final, so we'll see what happens.
Mostly, I love that. Sebastian, bonne chance.
Merci.
Brilliantly pragmatic as ever, Sebastian. He's an absolute legend. He's someone I've followed. You know, there was a time I think he almost had a restraining order on me because I went from WRC to touring cars to Dakar to rallycross, and I was always there. So he's a great ambassador for the sport.
He certainly is. Big moments ahead of us. Game on. Johan Kristoffersson versus Victor Martins for a place in the final. It is winner takes all. This is the third and deciding race for the first semi-final. And it is a driver competing in Formula 2 this year up against an all-time great in World Rallycross. They're in the Subarus, they're pushing on. These are rear-wheel drive cars. The rain shower that we had a few moments ago has stopped, but the track is slick, it is wet, it is green, and it is slippery right now. The drivers will be assessing where the grip is. It's Kristoffersson who will have the route on the outside line. It's very close, though. This one is super tight with a place in the final on the line.
Yeah, incredibly close. I think Victor Martins is absolutely demonstrating why he is hotly tipped to be a future F1 driver. While Johan Kristoffersson, of course, many years a Scandinavian touring car champion, so he's not just used to mixed surfaces, he can do this as well.
Who's finding the grip? Who's finding the power? It's looking good for Victor Martins. It's looking good for Team France. Apply the power. Celebrate, punch the air, because Team France are heading to the final. And there is the look of appreciation from his teammate, Sébastien Loeb, impressed because Victor Martins has taken the win. And he has sent France to the final of the Nations Cup.
Formidable.
Absolutely excellent from Victor Martins, stepping up when required. There was a problem earlier on with the first race. He was thrust into action, he took the win. Thrust under the pressure of a decider, stood tall, and he has eliminated a brilliant pairing. They have been superb all the way through. Johan Kristoffersen and Chas Mostert fall at the penultimate hurdle. Now, Sebastian Vettel, Brody Kostecki, and a place in the final for Germany or Australia. Who's it going to be? The crowd in fine voice as they attack this slippery circuit. Round the bridge we go with Sebastian Vettel. Into the left-hander, assessing where the grip is all the time. Little bit of rotation. They're in the Toyota GR86 cars. And they're squirming all over the road here, trying to rotate the cars, trying to find purchase. And if you're Sebastian Vettel, trying to find your way into the final, but that's not enough of a lead for Vettel. He needs a big final half lap.
He really does. This is really slippery and very, very, every single inch of this track is like a step into the unknown. Where is the grip? I think there's a wing mirror has come off the Australian Toyota.
There was indeed contact over the bridge, but it's looking good. It's looking very good. The crowd are cheering because Brody's done the job. Kostecki takes the checkered flag and sends Australia to the final on home soil. Wow.
And listen to the crowd, I got goosebumps.
Fantastic noise from the crowd. Fantastic drive from Brody Kostecki. He's beaten the four-time Formula One world champion. That's what the U was about. And it's another wing mirror we won't be getting the deposit back for. They have been detonated across the practice days. That's why they tuck them in. You knew at the halfway stage under the arch that the lead was not enough for Vettel, that he'd need all of his wet weather prowess on mixed conditions. But in the end, it wasn't enough. And it will be France versus Australia for the Nations Cup.
Get ready. Who's the bottom? Poland. Fuck. How loose was that? It's loose. Good on you, man. Loose? Hey, good job.
Handshakes all round. Lovely sporting stuff between the Aussies and the Germans down there. Semi-final B has been decided. The All-Stars are out. The Germans are out. It is Australia versus France. And that is what so many in the crowd wanted to see. They've all had to take higher positions in the grandstand because of the rain that came down, but they've still got a great view of what's to happen.
And it's great to see how the Race of Champions family have embraced Brody, who, of course, you know, a week ago didn't expect he would be here.
No.
Didn't expect he'd be lined up with his former teammate in supercars. And there he is.
Okay, let's have another interview downstairs with Rosanna, with one of our stars of tonight.
Chas, bad luck, missing out on the final, but hey, Australia still in the game. You're going to go and cheer your supercar guys on.
Yeah, really awesome. Obviously, our thing finished in the semis, but Johan drove great all the way, carried me the whole way through there. We nearly had a shot at the final, but I couldn't catch Martin in that Subaru. He was really, really on it. So, yeah, look, now we're all on the back of Team Australia here, so it's good to see the supercars representing, and we'll see how they go. They've got a big, tough ass. Team France is really, really fast.
And the conditions have just changed. It's now throwing it down here in Sydney. This Race of Champions is throwing up all kinds of surprises.
Yeah, it's like you kind of obviously gutted you're not in the final. You see the rain coming out, you're like, maybe it's safer I'm in the locker room right now. So it's going to really test out these guys. It'd be so awesome to see the trophy come to Australia, and you know, we'll just fingers crossed. We'll see what happens.
And now you've seen what it's like coming back tomorrow to race in the Champion of Champions. Whoa, how exciting that's going to be.
Yeah, it's like I said, a little bit nerve-wracking because I don't have Johan carrying me the whole way. So now I've got to try and do it myself tomorrow. But I had a lot of fun and today, and then I started practicing a few more cars. So we'll see how we go tomorrow. It'll be really cool.
Get out there. The guys need your support.
Thanks very much.
Well, Chaz Mostert, absolutely great performance. He's being self-deprecating with being carried by Kristoffersen. He's played his part, he's won races, and he's been a big part of their progression all the way to the semi-finals. But we are ready now, and just spying out of the window, I think we might have had the chicane removed.
Well, this is great news. We no more bridge chat. So this must mean we're expecting, as we just saw in the car changing area, that it's supercar lights and FC2s all the way, which means not only do we remove the chicane, we may see some air over the bridge.
Fantastic.
There's a little kicker on the way up and a little dip on the way down.
Looking forward to that. There is the shot that tells you the change that we've made. When there's a big prize on offer, the stakes get increased on the circuit as well.
But also on the landing, they're going to be sideways on the wet.
It's getting serious now. We've reached the final.
Pupils wide open, adrenaline pumping. Amazing shot there in the cockpit with Chaz.
Well, it's going to be Will Brown up first. Who better than the reigning champion for the supercars? He has represented his team brilliantly tonight. They have made their way, Team Australia, all the way. We had 2 entries from Australia, 1 off-road and 1 from the Supercars Championship. It's the supercar boys who have fought their way to the final, up against a team that'll look good in every condition, and not just with Sebastian Loeb, who is always a master if you take a stadium circuit in his direction. Also, when it comes down to Victor Martins, who has played his part. He won the decider that got them there, and it is going to be Loeb to lead off for France. That was the plan last time. It was not what happened. Martins had to do it. First race in the final is underway. It's Australia versus France. It's Brown versus Loeb, and it's pretty even as we race with the Polarises into the early turns. And let's see, yeah, big air. Don't worry about that for Sebastian Loeb. And he dials back the speed. Incredible. But that was big air over the bridge. Spectacular stuff for the crowd. This new format, no chicane for the final on the bridge. And Sebastian Loeb appears to have the advantage at the moment. But how much is the advantage? It's sizable. It is the lead for Team France right now.
And it's a big lead. Now let's watch Will Brown go over the bridge. See if he gets some air and then manages to get it stopped before that left-hander. Oh, lovely. And all the compression in the suspension on the Polaris Pro R.
Being worked to the limit. Of course, the offset between both lanes is greater because we've removed the chicane, and it's going to be so close. The crowd are roaring, and there's the reason why. Will Brown takes it away from Sebastian Loeb with a flying second half of the lap to take the lead in the Nations Cup, and he's punching the air. He very nearly didn't slow it down to turn left, but he won't worry about that. Australia go 1-0 up, and they're 1 win away from the Nations Cup title. Well, this was the battle between Loeb and Will Brown. The 9-time Rally World Champion up against the reigning Supercars champion. And the result was dramatic. This was the air for Loeb coming off the bridge.
I love that. Look at it. Look at his face. I mean, this is a guy who's been getting surprise air for hundreds of miles in the deserts of the Dakar and Abu Dhabi Desert Challenge recently. So he just doesn't bat an eyelid as he knows, I've got to go over the brow of this. Oh, and then I've got to brake and turn left. Ah, easy.
Now it was a storming final 500 meters for Will Brown, all the way to the line, all the way to 1-0 and the brink of the trophy. Okay, let's hear from Sebastian Loeb speaking to Rosanna.
Sebastian, we know you like winning. Oh, that is a difficult one to take. That is a tricky track, especially in these conditions, isn't it?
Yeah, it was really slippery with the rain we just had before the run. It was difficult to feel the car, and it was really slippery. So quite tricky with a car that you don't know really well. So yeah, little mistakes here and there, and it was not enough. So we have to see now what Victor is doing, and we'll see where we are.
Well, it was entertaining. It has been a great evening watching you race. And as you say, we'll see how Victor gets on.
Yeah, for sure. So we will follow the race now.
We're not taking it too bad.
Yeah.
Sebastian Loeb has done a lot of winning.
So we're definitely going to see some air as well with the FC2s.
Let's hear from the main man behind all of this in conversation with Rosanna.
Frederick, you've always got a smile on your face, but it's pretty big this evening. Wow, what an entertainment spectacle we have seen here in Sydney.
And what a surprise to see Australia Supercars this far, and they can clinch it now with Brodie Kostecki. Once again, he was not even supposed to be racing, and you know, all of a sudden he's in the final, and all of a sudden can win it for Australia, first time ever.
I know you were just chatting with Sebastian Loeb. He's so competitive. I think that one really hurt.
It must have hurt. I mean, I think when they got that far, they thought that they had it in the pocket, but let's see. It's not over yet.
It is not over, you are right. Still plenty more action coming our way. Frederick, I'll let you go and enjoy the action.
Thank you.
Well, things are tense right now because Victor Martins knows he needs another win. He needs to try and take it to a decider.
So the way that you get the best launch out of these FC2s is that bar that you saw in the front of the shot with Victor Martins, is to pull that back, maximum revs, and launch it off the line by throwing the bar down. And then you just off like a rocket. So much power.
Here we go. It's Kostecki against Victor Martins. Kostecki trying to take the win and the championship. Can he win the Nations Cup for Australia? Or will Victor Martins keep his team in the battle? The crowd are roaring. Is this going to be the deciding race? Is this the moment for Australia to take their first ever Nations Cup? That was aggressive stuff from Kostecki. He was desperately trying to maximize the jump, the air that you get. The track is still slick from the rain shower a few minutes ago. Let's look at the gap. Remember, the offset is greater with the chicane removed, but that looks like a great advantage. Australia on the brink of their first ever Nations Cup.
I mean, Kostecki is absolutely throwing this car. These cars are best driven sideways.
Oh,
but
my
Victor
word.
Martins with an enormous jump, knowing that he's got to leapfrog his way over the disadvantage he had from the first lap.
Let's see if that bravery over the jump is enough for Victor Martins. Are we heading to a decider? You bet we are! Victor Martins wins the second race, and we're going all the way in the Nations Cup. How brave was that from Victor Martins, who is having a party here in Sydney, and the Australian celebrations put on pause.
I love the fact that he just fully trusted, if I launch this, it's going to land.
He's never done that
He's
before.
never done it. There's not been a time where they've jumped these FC2s over that bridge like that. And of course, in what he's used to driving, if any of the wheels are off the ground, it's really bad news. But the comparison, look at that air.
Well, Victor Martins went all in at the casino.
That's got to go viral. That's the definition of full send. I love that.
A huge difference in air between, and understandably so, you can't risk it. Kostecki immediately encountering the bridge, Martins knowing he needed a response. And that tells you all you need to know. The relief from the ultra-competitive Sebastian Loeb, still fighting for this title.
So this is where it gets, you know, the adrenaline has to go, but then they have to get straight back. So Victor has to get into another car now, whereas Will Brown has had some time to calm the nerves, lower the heart rate, get yourself in the optimum state, get yourself into the flow state, into the zone, ready to deliver again, whereas Victor Martins is just still landing that car. That's one of my favorite things that's happened this evening.
What a contrast. I can tell you out of our commentary box window, the trophy is being unpacked, but which team will be holding it aloft at this storied sporting stage that needs a winning nation? The Race of Champions Nations Cup is going to come down to a decider. The star of tonight, the breakout star of tonight. How many times in the Race of Champions have we seen that? Heikki Kovalainen in 2004, maybe Victor Martins in 2025. He's been put into the car, he goes again. He carries his nation's hopes on his shoulders, and the reigning supercar champion is out to a roar of acclaim at the Accor Stadium, parking up. He's got the chance to win it for Australia. Victor Martins has the chance to complete one of the best evenings of his motor racing career. The Formula 3 champion of a couple of years ago has taken it to a decider. Now, can he take the win? Will Brown versus Victor Martins for the Nations Cup. It's all decided right now. We go racing and we're underway to turn number one. Here we go. Australia versus France, Brown versus Martins. And that's decent air for the Australian. But do you want to take the bridge first, or do you want to take the bridge second? The removal of the chicane has been extraordinary. Was that slightly wide for Will Brown? Does that give Martins the opportunity? We're going to clock the offset. It's big at this stage. It's about comparable to what we've seen. Victor Martins is going to need a mega jump once again, or it's going to be Australia's Nations Cup. Under the bridge we go. Martins going all in. Again, it was aggressive. Again, he has grown lap by lap in this competition. It's going to be so close. Victor Martins has the power down, but Australia have the inside line. It's side by side for the title. It's Victor Martins. It's France who claim the Nations Cup. It was separated by hardly anything across the line, but Victor Martins has done the job, and it has been an extraordinary performance out there once again, and there are celebrations all over. What a fantastic drive from a fantastic driver for the first time since 2004. It's France who have won the Nations Cup, and let's hear from one of the winners, Sebastian Loeb.
Sebastian.
Go, Rosanna, go.
Sebastian, congratulations, Team France. Wow-wee. Huge congratulations there between the two teammates. Applause! Sir Victor, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. It's incredible. Victor did an incredible job. He beat all the fast guys for his first time here. So finally we win the Nation Cup. It's really a great moment.
It certainly is. Sebastian Loeb in a slightly strange position, Neil, of watching someone else do the winning for him.
But also, like that final decider was 2 Race of Champions debutants, you know?
Yes.
So all of these greats, all of these people who've come and done this competition over and over again, the final, both drivers did their teams proud, but they're both Race of Champions debutants. And that will be a moment, like you said, like Heikki Kovalainen winning in 2004. Also, same year that France won, with Jean Alesi and Sebastian Loeb being Nations Cup winners. They do it again.
Great seeds.
Yeah.
Congratulations to France. Sebastian Loeb winning again. He always seems to be somewhere in the mix. And the victory going the way of Victor Martens and France. He took it by a tiny margin on the line. It's been a great night. My thanks to Neil. My thanks to the whole team. Goodbye from Sydney. It's France who've won it.